Welcome, everybody, to the Risen Mythical League, week number 4, as we cross over the midway point over into the second half of our regular season, an inch ever closer to the playoffs. We have got ourselves a match between two of the top teams in Group C. It's going to be Dorado Gaming Gamma taking on Big Fat Panda. My name is Gordo. I'm joined by Goferino on the desk today. Goferino, how are you doing this evening?
I've been kind of bouncing off the wall. I've been really hyperactive today. That doesn't have anything to relate with the match tonight, but you did ask how my day's going. But either way though, should be an interesting matchup tonight. Both these teams currently 2-0 right now, and only one will be undefeated after tonight's events.
Only one of them will be, so will be pretty interesting to see who's going to be able to take that top spot. You got to remember it's a big deal to be able to get yourself in locked in towards that first seed. It does give you a bye right into the first round. It guarantees that you're going to be part of that double elimination bracket. Whereas, being second or third seed, you've got to play in the play-in round. You do get a best of
Mhm.
5 in there, so you make sure that you do have a little bit of leeway. But
Yep.
okay,
Oh,
dog is on
okay.
red. Big fat panda is on blue. Getting word of that right now. So just something to note: the sides are flipped versus what you're seeing on your screen. But as I was saying, second seeds and third seeds, they have to play each other in the play-in round before they get into the playoffs proper. And if you end up losing that matchup, you don't get the double elimination kind of protection there. So definitely a big deal to be first in your group. And starting off 3-0 is pretty damn close to being able to secure that for yourself as long as you're able to keep your performance going through into your last match of the season. Remember, you do only play 4 matches in the group stage. So being able to be 3-0 really, really close to being able to lock yourself down a spot in that double elim bracket.
Nothing too surprising on the bans here. A lot of the meta taken off the board. We'll see what the priority is here. The AD carry pool has been a little bit pinched with the Senna and a Smolder taken off the board. The Shin's out going to be the priority here. Definitely had a lot of power earlier in the season. When Titanic Hydra was pretty strong, has fallen off a bit. Those teams have decided to move on to other things, as well as the Titanic Hydra did get a bit adjusted there. However, it does still bring a lot of early pressure, a lot of early dueling power. Um, and you definitely have to make the most of this champion before you pass the 2 item mark because late game team fight Shinzao tends to struggle a little.
Yeah, absolutely. Can get tough for them, but they are definitely willing to lock that one on in nice and early here. So hang on, I gotta figure out. So we got big fat panda on the red. I gotta check my notes out and make sure that I'm on the right side. That means they're the ones locking in the Wukong and the Varus here to start things off. That is likely then going to be the Xinjiao going, we presume, into the jungle here. Rakan now being hovered by Marcotte here for the side of Dorado Gaming. See if that is what they're going to end up going for. Goatee will almost certainly be piloting the Xinjiao. The Rakan will be locked in. Are they going to pair up the Zaya with it? 80 carry pool a little bit pinched with the Smolder and the Senna bands. There's that Zaya hover, and I would not be surprised to see that one locked in. We'll just give you a really solid laning duo. You're prepared for the Varus, who's always such a powerful selection to be taking either blind or as a counter pick. He can go lethality, he can go on hit. He is going to be super, super good no matter what. So
Mhm.
they're going to lock themselves in at that powerful lovers duo
Yep,
to try
gives
to
you some
respond.
nice scaling in the bot side. Okay, the Renata response here. I know with the Renata handshake, you can interrupt the Rakan grand entrance, which is really strong. If you interrupt a Rakan grand entrance with CC, like his trading power just drops off a cliff. And also, he's pretty damn vulnerable usually. Yeah, you can dash out with the battle dance, but you're usually able to get a lot of damage down. So we'll see how fast they are with those handshakes in lane. Does put some pretty decent pressure early. It gives you that double ranged bot lane. Will help you shove out those waves. Should let you have the harass lead in this bot lane, just due to the fact I'm assuming it's going to be a lethality of Eris that has been the most popular build here, and that does give you a lot of poke early, which can really put the pressure on Zaya.
Absolutely here. So got bot lanes and junglers locked in for both teams. There's going to be that Akali and that Fiora as the first couple of lock-ins. We'll have to see what they're going to do to try to guarantee themselves a safe blind pick there over on the side of Dorado. Got Kerrigan and Hazim both with a blind pick, or one of them
Oh,
going to have to
hi
go in for a
bot.
blind pick. Oh, Bonfire, good to see you here, buddy. Cool to cool that you're able to join us here. But no, all right, no burritos back. And top lane bans for Big Fat Panda, mid lane bans for Dorado. Do wonder if that smells like there is going to be a blind mid laner coming through here for Dorado, saving that last pick counter pick for their top lane. No, exciting top lane matchup ahead of us here today as did find out in some of our pregame scouting, Elo Freak top lane over on Big Fat Panda, a little bit lower in MMR than a lot of the players here in this tournament. So, gonna have some concerns about how he's gonna be able to hold his own coming into this series. And now with last pick counter pick being saved for his M, could get real dangerous up there for him.
Yeah, yeah. There are some kind of blind pickable top laners. The go-to used to be Renekton, but this season with the loss of Ward Drinker really has not been doing too hot. Ornn generally pretty safe blind does have some matchups where you get countered a little just due to getting outscaled. I know the Gwen can do pretty decent into you. If you really want to flex, you can pick the Singed into Ornn. Singed not something we typically see a lot, but if you really want to go for the counter pick, you can just grab that Singed. Great to stop the ulti and just generally out push. The way being hovered would be giving some very nice range here to the BFB comp. As Zaya, not the highest range ADC, so this will give you a little bit of extra leeway with that poke.
Absolutely. The Ornn in the top lane, gonna be as safe as you could possibly get with it, but there are those counter picks. One of them is the Gwen, and that Gwen is gonna get locked in nice and early here for the side of Dorado Gaming. Dorado now going to be sitting pretty strong here with the Seamstress up at the top lane, up against that Ornn. It's just such a powerful farming pick. It's going to be able to go very even, very powerfully in that early game, and then it's just going to be such a menace in the side lane, and it's going to be a menace that Big Fat Panda do not really have a response for. So they're going to have to get their team fighting shoes on and find ways to make engages happen with this Ornn, with this Rakan, with this Xin Zhao, to be able to counter out the fact that this Gwen is just going to be unstoppable in the side lanes.
Yeah, yeah. There is a period in the early game where Freak can look to punish the Gwen. If that Gwen Hollowed Mist is down, like you can just really hard trade on her and just get out before she's able to stack up the Q and snip you. All that true damage. We'll see if that's how the lane plays out. If not, like you mentioned, letting Gwen scale up, very scary here to deal with.
Very scary indeed. And let's talking about some of our predictions for the series. Let's check out what the predictions are across the board for the broadcast here. Can bring those on up, survey to everybody on the broadcast team before we got started. It does look like Dorado Gaming is a bit of the favoring here. Bonfire breaking away from the squad, going to be voting for Big Fat Panda here. And Caddy going to be coming in, getting his vote in the pool, going for 2-1.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, very Dorado gaming favored.
Yeah, I
I
do.
do
I
believe that.
appreciate the tactics here from Bonfire, though. You know, you could take the same approach in the Risen channel point bets if you want to. This is a little life hack for you: is if everybody's voting for one side, you could just put a real little amount of Travy bucks over on the other side. You get to be paid out big time, especially if you're the only one betting. You just take the
Mhm.
whole pot for yourself. Bonfire going with that strategy here. You know, he's just gonna pick up 5 wins here all at once if he ends
I
up
feel
being correct.
guilty doing that though, because like that's what I used to do with my Travy Bucks. But now that I'm a moderator and also a caster, I feel like there's a conflict of interest. So
Nah, I'm
as
doing
part
that
of my
every
due
game. I'm doing that
diligence.
every game. And you know what? I consider it a service because if everybody's all betting on one side and there's zero on the other, then nobody's getting paid out, even if whether they're right or wrong. You got to have something in the pool from the other side so that you can get paid out. Otherwise, the whole system doesn't work. So I'm really doing a service by throwing 10 points on the underdog.
Mm, I know. I kind of view it like people in Congress not being able to buy stocks. Like they can do things to influence those stocks, like how we can do things to influence the outcomes of these games. Allegedly, there have been scripting
I
allegations
was
in
gonna
the
say no,
past.
no, we can. So it's not like that at all. it's I've tried my best to influence the results of these games. We've been begging on our knees for some things to happen at these games, and they don't happen. So we have no such power. We are getting into our spec delay. That does mean it's only going to be a couple more minutes. For those who are regular Risen viewers, by the way, the replay bug has been fixed. Where the game
Allegedly.
was crashing and we were losing out on VODs. I haven't heard any reports of it in the last week plus since that last patch hit. So I think it's fixed. I think we got nothing to worry about here. So Slayer and Bonfire are going to get their full best of 3 cast here tonight, whether it be 2 games or 3 games. And we're going to get to not have to analyst desk, 30% of a game or whatever it ended up being a couple weeks ago. We'll get to have our full cast one way or the other. So that is good news. It's good news for these teams to get their full match casted. It's good news for us to have a normal broadcast with no severe interruptions. And it does mean that we are now getting into spec delay, so we can check out some of these runes here before too long. Nothing too unexpected in the summoner spells department. TPs coming in from both sides, ghosts for both marksmen, ignites for both supports.
Yeah. Yeah, biggest changeup is the ADCs. Taking Ghost, haven't been seeing as much of that this season, but still good on them. Gives you a
Yep,
lot of kiting power. Definitely
yep.
feels a little bit win more because if they're already on top of you, the Ghost can't do too much. But if you're able to keep your distance, a lot of value can be gained from that rune or summoner spell.
Yeah. I am clocking that demolish on the Ornn. I do wonder how much value they're truly going to get out of that in the Ornn versus Gwen matchup. But yeah, there's not a lot that's good in that row for Ornn anyway. I guess you go Font of Life and try to get a little bit more health over to your allies, but not a lot of great selections. So probably not going to have too big of an impact either way. But we'll see how many demolish procs they truly end up getting. They're going to be looking to stack on up that grasp as well in the melee v melee matchup. Let's get on into the jungle. That's a
No,
lethal
yeah.
tempos in shout. Is that what everybody's going these days? I thought Conqueror was still kind of best in slot.
Think Conk is still best in slot. I mean, lethal tempo is an option. I think it's much more early game skewed though, because you're just looking to get those duels that are really prolonged. You're just autoing, you proc the lethal tempo, and you're poking them from 2 miles away because you get that plus 50 range boost. Definitely falls off compared to the Conqueror though, because the Conqueror gives you much more raw stats. And that healing is kind of nice in those late game team fights when you are this oh lord, when you are this Shinzao that has to jump into 3 or 4 people.
Yep, definitely can see a little bit of
Oh
that.
lord.
So you keep going on across. People are getting real into this Arcane Comet Oriana lately. I've noticed a lot more of it. It's always been Phase Rusher Airy, it feels like on Oriana, but people have just starting to feel like, what, dissonance. We're always hitting people with dissonance. You might as well be able to get that
Mhm.
bonus damage in from the Arcane Comet, especially when you're in these mage versus mage matchups. It really does feel like it kind of favors you in the scaling department just a little bit in those short range trades. So you get Clockwork Wind up already for the bonus auto damage. Might as
Oh,
well
hey.
index further in that ability to one on one.
Yeah. Yeah. As Oriana, like you mentioned, with the distance, you do have a way to guarantee the comet landing. Um, that is the general rule of comet, where if you have a slow, you kind of guarantee it to land. If you don't have the slow, it's much more dicey. Interesting thing to note, though, we see the lethal tempo coming out here, so it is going to be that on hit Varus, unless we see a funky sort of ARAM build where the Varus goes lethal tempo, but still builds lethality. Eh.
For sure. And Double Guardians coming on out. Excited to see this Renata and how she's going to be able to do. I've been told this is a good matchup into the Rakan. I know you can use Handshake to interrupt some of those engages and stuff. So if you're able to play it at a really, really high level, you could definitely do a lot to disrupt what this duo wants to go for. But if you don't pull that off and you do get hit by the Grand Entrance, you are very squishy and you are very liable to be
Mhm.
taken down by the likes of Tay and Law.
Yeah. You do also have the hostile takeover, which is another great way of just countering the Rakan. Like the best way to kill Rakan is when he goes in, just making him stand still, because a Rakan that is standing still after you engage is a Rakan that usually dies, from my experience.
Definitely the case here. We are ticking on down, and it looks like the game is ready. So we're going to send things over to Slayer and Bonfire, who will be taking away the cast for the night. Take it away, guys. We will see you all after the game.
Thank you, as always, Gordo and Gofrino, and hello, everybody. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Welcome to the Slayfire experience. 2 teams looking to try and lock up, like Gordo mentioned earlier, a spot away from the play-in tournament, as Bonfire, we are somehow, I believe, over the halfway point of the regular season here in the Mythical League with this series. So every game counts. Going forward now, every series counts so much more.
Yeah, blink and you miss it, and suddenly we're making our way through. It does feel weird. I was thinking about it just on a personal, note a couple of days ago, and I was like, oh, we're like halfway through February. It felt like it was just Christmas. So time continues to fly by, and League continues to move forward. And like you said, every single game matters just that much more. Both of these teams vying for that playoff spot. They've been great this season, so throughout the regular season so far. Question is, can they beat the best? And I think that's what both of these teams really want to do. They want to put the league on notice that they are the top team that needs to be knocked off.
Well, Bonfire, I'm going to put you on notice a little bit here.
Okay.
Which is kind of standard for me, if we're being honest. I kind of want to give you the floor to defend the BFP 2-0 pick. I'm assuming my logic knowing you is that you're just like, you want to be the special boy, and you're like, oh, everybody's predicting Dorado. Let me just throw out a 2-0 for BFP. Is there more to it?
I will say I was the first person to pick, so I didn't. There was no knowledge of what other people were bringing, as we have some skirmishing in the bot lane. So there was no, looking at everybody else. But I will say I choose off of a lot of different factors. I choose off of name. I choose off of, yes, you said, I heard that right. I like good names. I choose off of record. I choose off of some stats that I will not break down because I want to keep my strategy to myself.
Yes.
A lot of it's also.
Don't let the competitor casters know your strategies for judging.
A lot of it's also luck. I'll be the first to admit it, and I think also I've dug myself a bit of a hole, and so I think what Gordo said was right, which is that I kind of sometimes have to pick upsets because earlier in the year I like to be a little different. So that kind of is what this came down to. I can't say I'm super confident, but for today's game at least, I will be the biggest BFP fan you'll ever see.
I can respect it. I felt like we needed to hear that from you, and
Of course.
to get some more jokey things out aside, as we have a mirrored jungle clear start, and Kerrigan, oh my god, he's actually going to get slammed by the menacing claw there, so he gets a bit of damage onto him. And this is where the joke was going to go. If there are any Counter-Strike fans in the chat, that is not, in fact, Astralis and FaZe legend Kerrigan playing mid for Dorado Gaming Gamma. That is just a guy who also likes the name Kerrigan.
That we know of. Maybe lost a spirit, lost a donk, and decided this is my CS days gone. Need to start playing League.
Yeah, and he's playing on 100+ ping right now. Yeah, there's
unlikely. You're right.
There's no chance this dude flew to America to play Mythical League. As much as I love Risen,
hey, you'd
no
be surprised. Chance. Apparently, a lot of people that don't have NA residency want to play in NA in the amateur scene. So you never know, right?
God damn it! You know what? I'm going to focus on the invade that just happened there. Cody was spotted clearing his blue. Not a ton of info gained. You're just kind of figuring out that it's a full clear from both these jungles. Logilex will also show himself bot side, so these jungglers leaving their lanes to their devices, and there's going to be a grand entrance to knock up for Law. He's able to dodge out on the claw as well from Marcoet. Not much more.
Yeah, Marcoet, I guess. We'll have to see as this game progresses. I mean, realistically, this is what happens when you pick two early game ganking junglers and everybody else is scaling. There's not a lane that really pushes super hard. This is a lot of scaling and not a lot of early roam ability. And so we're just going to get a pretty boring early game unless one of these junglers makes a play happen. And early on, both of these junglers haven't really done that. But keep an eye on both this Wukong and this Xin Zhao, because unless somebody really misplays, these lanes aren't going to create anything for themselves.
And I do want to say that I am cheering for Elo Freak in this. Oh, there's a root in the Grand Entrance. That is a dead Varus. Carino, he flashes. He's going to get the bailout, but great CC chain from Law and Tay. The Xayah Rakan combo flawlessly gets first blood for those big fat pandas.
Yeah, and I guess I jinxed it a little bit, but that's kind of exactly what I had said as well. There wasn't really a kill opportunity unless somebody misplayed.
No holding my wave.
I feel like if Tay just hung around right there, they could have at least gotten flash off the Renata, but instead it's just supportal combat as Tay really wants to get that back timer and, not get bad reset timing, I suppose. I don't know. Looked like there could have potentially been at least getting a summoner off of the Renata there.
Well, Logilex has now decided to go for the old new strategy of, I'm going to take one grub and run away really fast. I don't hate it. He's going to grab him. Surely doesn't have topside prio. Elo Freak is down on mana and very down on HP. So we'll get the 2-1 trade, which is becoming kind of the standard as we evolve more and more to these little grubbians that have decided to grace their presence on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, and look, it's important when you have an Ornn top, right? You were mentioning it, you're just never going to get the push onto a Gwen with an Ornn, and so being able to get one is probably best case scenario right there as, uh-oh.
Bovia gets the shockwave dropped on him into a beautiful handshake for Mark Coed. This is going to be a beautiful setup kill. Kerrigan slams it home. Dorado Gaming answer in the mid lane.
Yeah, just a great roam right there from Marquette, and, you know, ensuring that when you've got the Wukong, when you've got the numbers advantage, you are able to kill the Hui. And the Painter, no longer going to be able to create beautiful artwork. Going to have to go back and get Shades of Grey with the death timing screen, as it looks like that's also going to mean that this Dragon's going to go over, as this way has to walk his way back, and Orion is able to get the mid shove. So early on, at least, DOGG doing a really good job of using their little lane prios that they're getting, and getting, you know, some good ganks off to ensure that they're getting neutral objectives.
Logilex jumps in and steals it. Goaty is way too low as well. Double Great Entrance knockup gets the clone and Goaty, and he's going to fall to Bovia, who does get his revenge. And Law, he's not done. He's not done laying the hammer down for Justice. Whale out on top of Marcote. He's going to get knocked up by the Sinzal. The Maw crushes him from Bovia. A double up for those big fat pandas. But we have a top lane skirmish going as well. Both ultimates out. Here comes Call of the Forge God. Gets the double knockup. Elo Freak, he may be flat, and he's still going to die to the solo kill. Gwen diff.
Ooh, that was close though. That was close though. I will say, even though Bjorn dies right there, as a whole, we can both agree, a massive play right there from BFP. Kind of right in the ship right there. It was looking like DOGG was doing a really good job of getting those neutral objectives, getting a kill in the mid lane early, and kind of getting their advantages, kind of setting their lanes up for success. But great recognition that even though they had numbers, the Hui was going to walk back in time with a higher health bar, and ends up sacking the mid wave. But it is very much worth it when you get both of those skills right there, as this mid lane is going to be able to get shoved pretty consistently now. And now you have your shoving lane. Now you have a lane that you can play through. I want to see this Hui get active on the map and help out across the map, because it could really make a huge difference.
Yeah, I really truly believe that Hui's in such a good spot right now in the meta. I've seen more and more Hui's just kind of, they're not struggling as much in the early lane as previously conceived. And boy, does their damage get stupid later on in the game with how you can itemize differently now. So, a lot of onus on Bovia, who is going the Lost Chapter. I know with Hui's mana regen, sometimes we do see players opt to just rush a Liandry's, which can just optimize your damage, but looks like Bovia will be playing for a bit more mana. Interesting to see how his itemization goes. It's just so fun in Season 14, you know? You could argue that there's different itemization for like every champion in the game these days with no more mythics.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of different angles that you can take, which is always fun. You'd imagine this is, I think, assuming that my knowledge of Season 14 items is still good, it's probably a Luden's, or it could also be a Archangel's. I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, getting that extra mana is important as, whoa, Zinzao, hold on.
Yep, that's the Crescent Guard. Just pops Gwen. Goaty doesn't show up in time. He gets down to the Cyclone, and see you later, Logilex. And now it's a 1v1 jungle for top laner. Goaty doesn't like those odds, but bit of a misstep on the counter gank there from Dorado Gaming.
Yeah, and it's important, right? Because this Ornn's able to shove another wave out. Obviously, the Wukong is going to get it, but that's more minions that you're denying from the Gwen, and that's very, very important. Every minion matters when you're down 20 CS to a Gwen counter pick. Just ensuring that your top laner isn't totally out of this game. You know, gets an assist for themselves. The island has been breached, the top island at least, and so this Ornn still will be a tank threat later on. You can't just completely ignore it. I know tanks, you know, kind of do their own thing, but if they get left to their own devices, it won't be tanky enough.
More Grubbian's gonna pop on the Rift here. Logilex says, I'll take those. Law's around here as well, so they've roamed up support. And that will secure four Grubbians, excuse me, for the side of Big Fat Panda. So at the most they avoid, you know, letting Mites go down. There's Shades of Corruption out. Carino likes his odds in the 1v1. Tay still doesn't pull the feathers back, flash away from the feather store, but Tay is way overmatched here. It just solos him up.
Yeah, I thought it was not a bad play at the beginning right there. You get that Verisol, you space it out, but the issue is you're still in range of taking damage when you're getting those autos off. You know who else is getting autos off? Tay, who has a Kraken, and you do not have an item right there, Mr. Varus. And if you're able to get some poke off, potentially, chunk down this Zaya, maybe it looks good. But when you're taking autos, when you're taking Kraken damage, you're just going to lose that every day of the week, including Sundays. And right there he goes.
Yeah, I mean, simply put, what you just said. I mean, you have no items. Tay has an item. I mean, you're you're gonna lose, especially if you're going attack on hit Varus.
Yeah.
Where your range doesn't matter as much, like you're just losing that straight up. So, bit of a sloppy game number 1 in a couple of different aspects here, but I do want to applaud Mr. Elo Freak up here. He is down 30 CS, but I've seen this lane go a lot worse than it is currently for him in Big Fat Pandas.
Yeah, and the thing is, this Varus is in a huge hole right now, and your Zaya is incredibly fed. So you've done your job, right? You've done what you needed to do. You've soaked a lot of the pressure. You still will be a tank threat thanks to that help from Zaya earlier.
Ooh,
things will be okay. I don't
that's
think
quickness.
Really here. Yeah.
All right,
Just
supportal combat, baby.
Just a trade of support. That's not so bad. Back to the original point. Your carries are ahead. Your jungler's been able to focus on the bot side of the map. You've done your job.
Well, Goaty is about to figure out the old Death Press strategy. Flash forward from Logitech, trying to stop the blast cone. Crescent Guard's out. Goaty does get some distance. A good flash away from the W. Will keep him alive, but nothing really expended there except a couple ults. I guess flash for flash in the jungle.
Getting flash off of Wukong is much more important than getting flash off of Xin Zhao. Xin Zhao wants to go in, wants to be a problem, has the aggressive card for safekeeping. Wukong wants that flash to be able to get R2 off, knock off the carries after getting the first knock up. Doesn't have that now. Recognizes that those flashes are not equal, my friend, and has to back away. That is the second dragon going over to Big Fat Panda, who so far in this early game have shown why they are 2-0. Having a very strong early game, even with, I know, a lot of doubts of the Plat top laner, but they've done their job, and this is probably where their strength has come from. I think this is the first time we've seen this team, stop me if I'm wrong, on the cast. So we obviously don't know where their win cons have been, at least from watching it in person. But if I had to take a wild guess, it'd be let Elo Freak on tank duty, weak side Elo Freak, and just help out with mid and top, mid and bot. Tay and Bovia are certainly strong enough as is right now to carry this game.
Yeah, this may sound like cup to everybody watching at home, but it's the truth. I do, in fact, like getting proven wrong on these casts. So if Elo Freak can just, play his role well and help this team to a win, I will happily eat a crow, I believe is one of the phrases, way to say this.
Interesting.
I'm all here for the spirit of competition. My predictions are here to heat up the competition and also always beat Gordo out in predictions, which doesn't always happen, but it has before.
Gordo is pretty good at those predictions. It's hard to beat a man who lives this league, or not this league, but amateur league. He's pretty good at it. If you don't know Gordo personally, this guy is maybe the most dedicated amateur North American fan, caster, some combination of both of them I've ever seen. So shout out Gordo. He knows his stuff, but maybe it'll be the bonfire with the crazy hot take. But we'll have to see. A lot of game left to be played.
Yeah, we won't get too far ahead of ourselves. It's not too much of a gold lead now for Big Fat Panda, mainly because they are losing out in CS. They're pretty harshly in the top lane.
Yeah.
So it's kind of evened it out. It's about a 1,000k gold lead, which a lot of that is going to be between Bovia and Tay. We do see Law up here on the top side. Also have Marcotte as well. So both these supports really want to try and help out their fellow top laners, but it's an island for a reason, baby.
Yeah. Look, it's an island that is going to favor the Gwen, but this island's going to get infiltrated soon as this Rift Herald take doesn't want to be just given over. You look on the map, Xin Zhao on the bot side, Zaya not roamed over either. They're just going to be giving this one away. Elo freaking Law and Bovia are hanging around right now. It's a little dangerous if Kerrigan gets to get ult. They decide to cut their losses, dip out of the way. I gotta say, I love what Logilex is doing right here, forcing this Varus off the wave. So it's saying, you know what, we'll trade a tower for a tower probably, and we'll get all the gold in Tay's pockets. Tay's gonna hopefully let this cannon die as well, just continuously leading this Varus out.
Yeah, and Law is just being that Sneaky little Rakan knows
Oh, here
how
comes
safe they
Lazarus.
could be. Oh, okay. Carino stepped up a little too far to try and save the turret, but a TP is now forced out by Hazem. Change of Corruption is going to land right on top of Logilek, so they've got this Xin Zhao pin. Hazem does have the needlework. Doesn't have enough damage here. Tay as well comes across, but they pop Logilek first. Carino now jumping on top of Tay. Flashes away, gets the Featherstone pullback. It's teleport central. Bovia shows up at the last minute to make sure it's a winning fight for Big Fat Pandas.
Yeah, Big Fat Panda gets both kills and ends up being a 2 for 2, but I gotta say, DOGG gets the shutdown on the Xayah, and more importantly, gets this Rakan back in the game, because this Rakan was in a pretty horrendous, or not Rakan, I'm sorry, Varus was in a pretty horrendous spot before. Now it's 2 kills under their belt. Finally gets to play the game again. It was a great outplay right there from Tay, but at the end of the day, when you've got this fed of a Gwen with this much CS, it's going to do so much damage when you're in melee range, and the Xin Zhao did not stand a chance. Bovia going to continue to shove the wave right now, but with Moreno getting back onto the map, means there's not going to be a second tower to be found. Rip Terrell is going to find the mid tower. He missed the cannon, and now Bovia has to run.
Yep. Quay has some mobility to him. Good fear. Root comes across. Cody's here. Does still eat the way ultimate. So that slow's coming across. Drops down the Wukong ult. Trying to get the knockups. Gets the second one, but there's not enough follow-up damage. Flash forward handshake. Marco grabs Bovia by the straps and makes sure the shutdown goes through.
Yeah, that is massive right there. And Marcotte played a pretty good game so far, and that's kind of going to be the defining factor that we remember from at least right now, because that is a massive, massive, massive shutdown to find. This Wukong now cannot be ignored with the damage. You want to focus more on these squishy members. This Wukong is going to demand your respect with that kill, with that shutdown. And in a split push battle, I favor the Gwen right now over the Ornn, and so we're able to get that wave shoved in bot, potentially get even more. This is probably going to be, actually, you know what? The Ornn got it. I lied. You know, you get the early damage across. The Ornn actually gets the tower first.
Shout out the Plat Elo, baby.
Yeah.
We're gonna make that joke all night long, guys. Get used to it. I'm gonna be honest with you. Elo Freak has teleported back in. We've got a Drake coming across. Bovia is gonna be late to this party. It's 5v4. Call the Forge guy gonna whiff mostly. What a hostile takeover. Locks Tay down. Law also just immediately having to flash out. Has them going forward. Will pick off both of them. And now Elo Freak is caught in the background. The Ornn pierced by the arrow of Carino. But that fight was all Marcotte, baby. Here come Dorado Gaming.
Yeah, going for that fight right there from Big Fat Panda, I just didn't really feel like at any point in time they had really succinct ultimates right there that whole time. Xayah, no ultimate, no flash, no ghost. And so if Xayah gets hit by really anything at all, that is one of your most fed members dead, down for the count. Quay had to play safe, had to stay away from the fight. Also, no flash on Bovia, and so that entire time you're playing without summoners on either of your carries. Just not really sure how you're able to avoid a lot of the damage and a lot of the CC that DOGG provides. And the short answer is they weren't able to avoid it. They end up losing 3 of their members of their team, and the dragon stacking gets put to a halt. And I think we're starting to see why DOGG is so good. This mid game has been near flawless for them. The way they've moving their chess pieces across the map just feels like it's never a fair fight anywhere on the map.
And now we've almost had that discrepancy in the bottom lane match. I think Carino's a couple hundred gold off of that Rage Blade. He's got, I believe, every component. Those are the 3 main components of a Rage Blade. So in reality, he's not that far behind Tay, and that was really the biggest gap for Dorado Gaming to overcome. And they're in the gold lead now. They've overcame it, and then some Bonfire.
Yeah, and they've got their win conditions as well. You have to remember, I mean, I believe this was either a 3-0 or a 2-0 Xayah, and a 2-1, I believe, Hui.
Correct.
Not really the case anymore. They've lost their lives in the side lanes. They've been losing their lives in the team fights. Feels like you have to go back to pre-10 minutes to see when BFB really want to fight just handily. They've just kind of been being bled out this game so far. Need to find a big team fight win, get a big neutral objective under their belt against, flip back those waves, and get back in the lead, because right now it feels like I said, they're getting bled out of this game. They're scaling on both teams, but whenever you have to go against a Gwen in the side lane and great team fighting with the Wukong in the jungle, I'm just not sure how you're able to do so when you're constantly on the back foot.
And Wukong is certainly no Nocturne when it comes to that ball delivery system. Everyone likes to talk about the Orianna, but Cyclone Shockwave can be very big. They're going for Carino here. Beautiful setup by Law. That is a dead Varus. Hostile takeover isn't going to be hostile at all. Teleport in here for Hazza, but he just has to jump right out. Great pick there for Big Fat Panda.
Yeah, and that's 2 teleports right there. They got both of their teleports right there for, I mean, is it fair to say basically nothing? They didn't have any fights after the teleports came across, so they could really split the map as much as they want. They really want this mid turret. I don't believe they're going to get it. I mean, it's a 4v4 unless they really hard shove the waves with the way. I don't think they're going to be able to get it, especially into an Orianna. But the more important thing is they get the kill, they get the shutdown, and now they got both of their teleports down, so they should be able to split the map. And actually, with the numbers advantage, they're able to shut down and get the mid turret.
This game goes about as dead even as you can get one at 20 minutes. And it's just, you know, your typical game 1, I feel like, Bonfire. You've had both teams get caught. We've had almost every shutdown that was around earlier off the board now. And a lot of itemization just kind of evening out. 2 items between these 80 carries. Both mid laners are near at 2 items. Slight lead for Goaty to answer the mid lane BFP lead. This is what makes for a fun finish, I'll say that.
Yeah, and it's going to come down to these dragons. It's 2-1 in dragons. No one's really stacking. I mean, you can afford to sack a dragon on the other side, and you know, you wouldn't lose the game off of it. But at a certain point, you have to start wondering, you know, how many dragons can you stack? At what point are you forced to fight? And who wants to fight more? You know, I feel like when you've got Norn, you really want to get into these team fights and get out of the side lane, but Wukong is no slouch when it comes to those team fights. If you're able to get a knock up on Tay or Bovia, or both of them, best case scenario, that could just be a winning team fight as is. So both of these teams have their strengths in team fighting. We're going to have to see it with these dragons stacking coming up.
You know, we're already getting to see maybe a potential answer here to the Gwen on the side lane. Obviously, it's a lot better when Bovia has the comfortability of that tier 1 turret. But Hwei can certainly clear waves from very far away, and Gwen can't really get close. So we'll see how often Elo Freak actually rolls with the pack. And we have Hwei answer. But for me, yeah, it's really started to dance around the Baron Pit. We've already seen both teams sort of fight over jungle, and it's the inevitability of a close game like this, with dragon stacking not favoring one side.
Yeah, Hazem is playing very, very aggressively right now. Does have the Gwen as immune. Has to be careful. Part of his team is now here. Good poke right there from the Hwei.
And A-Ram, baby.
I feel like we haven't seen...
Oh! Here we go. Goaty goes in. He easily gets cleansed out. Hostile takeover does land onto 4 in the background. Can DOG capitalize? Bovia is already solo from his own teammate. Smiling Despair will kill off Goaty. But Carino is untouched in the front line. Firing through. Tay will find a playoff onto Kerrigan. Flash forward. Elo Freak gives a triple kill over to Carino. And Hazem will lock up the Zaya. It's another masterful hostile takeover that certainly took over game number 1.
Yeah, Slayer, that just felt like a stat check right there. Both of those teams said, I'm bored. Let's throw everything we have at each other and, oh my goodness, and see what happens.
Baron throw, Baron throw.
I don't think they can take Baron with these health bars. They recognize that. They're just going to turn towards the dragon. I mean, that was just a stat check. I mean, both of these teams just throwing everything at each other and see who wins on the statistics. And I guess we have our answer on who wins in a straight team fight. It is DOGG. Now, the question is, can Big Fat Panda make good use of these low health bars? It feels like the tempo is kind of in their hands right now. They tried to run towards Baron. They couldn't do it. Now they tried to run towards Dragon. Also can't do it because of the health bars. Constantly getting their
spotted out.
Their recalls stopped. I mean, they're in a lot of trouble now. There's another thing that landed.
All right, Law jumps in for the ignite. Good heal from Goaty. The severing bolt is going to whiff, and Carino will pop Law. This is an anarchist nation. DOG are laying down here, and Hazem's looking to push it. Won't find Bovia, but will that be enough to try and fight this dragon? It's getting burned down by Logilex, who really wants to get that Mountain Soul point. They've got some vision on Hazem. Goaty had to go for a reset. He is not here. Do they take this fight without Smite? Logilex is just going to secure the dragon in the background, and BFP can walk right out.
Yeah, both teams get to scamper away as do some bush camping. I mean, this game has it all, really. I feel like a good Ornal could potentially make things work, but unfortunately doesn't have it up right now. But they're chasing. They recognize they have them split right now.
5v4. Law isn't here just yet, but like you mentioned, got to reset if you are Dorado Gaming Gamma right now. Hazem does have teleport. Curious to see if this is just a Baron swing. Would be aggressive. Not seeing any pings from bad Big Fat Pandas.
Could look towards it. They are gonna look towards it. Oh boy.
Oh, they're
This
doing
is
it.
so NA. Oh god. All right.
All right, well, so they're going to start it up here. Hazem does not teleport in. Marcona's also late to the party, so if they can burn this quick enough, it's really going to all be on Goaty. Hazem DCs and...
Oh, what is going on?
Oh,
Okay.
wait, no, this isn't the bug again, is it?
No,
wait,
surely not.
wait.
No. This
Okay.
is a disconnect. This
Okay,
is a
all right.
disconnect.
All right, okay.
You scared me there. You actually
I
did kind of
froze.
scare
Well,
me there.
that's how they always happen, right? I mean, they were always like that.
Yeah, this is
I
true.
can do
No,
my here. Do you want me to do my bit to introduce you now?
okay.
If you watch the
maybe.
Super Bowl, you might know what's coming. Okay. Hey guys, it's us casters here on camera. I'm Slayer, and that dude is Bonfire. Get it? Because it's
Sorry, I disconnected there. What happened? I didn't hear that.
dude.
It was pretty good. It was pretty good. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
How did that have to do with the
yeah,
Super Bowl, by the way? I did watch the Super Bowl.
Alicia
And I remember
Keys.
that.
Alicia Keys
Oh.
was literally.
But you didn't sing that song.
Brother.
All right. I'll give you that. I'll give you
All right.
that.
Well, I'm never making it. I'm never doing an introduction for you again. To be honest
I
with you,
thought it was gonna
you
be.
could just sit there.
I thought it was gonna be.
You could just sit
something
there, man. I put the effort in.
Let me speak. I thought it was gonna be something to do with Tony Romo, and I was gonna get introduced as like Tony. I don't know. Honestly, I had no clue where you were going with that, but I liked it. I
That was
thought
the
it was
point.
yeah. All right, it was pretty good.
Well, I reject your compliment because you sat there in silence and then ruined it. So your
IDC.
compliment's been rejected.
I told you I disconnected. I'm not tell you.
No, you didn't. No, you
I
did not.
disconnected
You're,
like Hasim in front of a dirt tank.
you're on camera. You can't tell me you disconnected when I see you on camera. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it does make it a little hard, doesn't it?
Ugh.
You know what
Well,
is also hard is this Baron take, which I have no clue what's going to happen. I feel like they're burning it fairly quickly, but they have to be wary because Wukongs have a pretty easy way into the pit, and I believe that they had vision. DOG had vision of it as well. So a little nervous that just to slam a Baron and give up any tempo that they previously had, but they feel like they're going to get bled out of this game. You got to make risky moves.
yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna quote you. This is so NA. It's the most
It
NA
is
thing of all time.
absurdly NA. Yeah.
I'm not going to say the team that won the game off of it because technically on the now official scheduling they did not win that game. But
Oh.
I may have watched a certain qualifier team win a game they probably shouldn't have because the other team threw a Baron. So it's definitely an NA thing.
Lot of legal requirements on how you could reference that.
You know, if I would, to be honest with you, we're kind of just being nice. Twitter wasn't nice about it. We don't have to be nice about it.
I don't
I'm just glad that I'm not coming back on camera here and ranting again about the spectator bug because this is quite
Yeah.
literally where we were 2 weeks ago, Bonfire.
It's not fun. I'm not a big fan of it. I'm gonna be the first person ever to say I don't like the spectator bug. I'm brave. I'm proud to say I don't like the spectator bug.
I sat here 2 weeks ago and was like screaming.
I don't know
at
what you're talking about. It was
camera
only
about the
me. I'm
spectator.
the first. No, it's.
Uh,
I think we're all in agreement as casters and as fans of these leagues. Spectator bug is very annoying, but
Well,
luckily we're
this
not
isn't
having
it.
this. Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
exactly. We get to
Right.
watch the rest of this game, and it's been a great game. We've seen both of these teams jostle for position, so I'm very excited to see how it ends off. I feel like Big Fat Panda. Stop me if you think I'm wrong. Has kind of started out off the gate. Let's say this is a 100-meter full sprint, and they are just trying to just stick their chest out onto the finish line to secure the win because it feels like they've lost a lot of steam, but they've also
Don't
had
you
some
go
big
head
team fight
first?
wins. So, do you go head first? I thought it was chest because you could like break the.
So I'm pretty sure from just like a length standpoint, like if you pushed your head out, your head would go further than your chest. It's kind of hard to like
Probably
push your chest. Like pushing your chest out is like.
I mean, if it was me, I'd stick my nose out because that would be the longest part of my body.
Off of that comment from Bonfire, we're gonna throw it to a break because we don't have an ETA. I'm gonna let you all sit on that one, especially that guy over there. We'll hopefully be back here with game number 1 to see if the NA Baron throw is a reality here for Big Fat Panda or not. And just like that, we're back into action with this sick-ass camera angle. And
So sick.
we're just waiting for the pause. It's totally
actually,
throwing...
I don't like this at all. This is like,
It is kind of throwing me off. I'm so used to looking at League the other way.
oh
that
my
this is...
god. Oh god.
But it's
Oh,
like...
this is so weird.
It's like we're watching a cinematic, though, you know? It's like a
Oh
League of
god, I feel
Legends.
nauseous. Okay.
You feel nauseous?
That was so weird. I feel like I turned my head upside. I don't know. I didn't like that at all. That was so
I liked
weird.
it. I liked it a bit. I will say it was disorienting at first. I thought my view was just completely broken.
Dude, if we had to cast an entire game like that, I don't know what I would do. I'd be so thrown off.
We should do that. We should just cast random. You know, I know some leagues do like drunk casts, which I find funny. Just do a drunk cast, but then don't tell your casters you're inverting the camera.
Oh my goodness gracious. Ah,
By
yeah,
the
that
way,
was
guys,
weird.
we're waiting for the Riot pause bug to stop, I believe. So we're kind of just sitting here in limbo. I'm hesitant to get into any conversations, Bonfire, because of the moment we're at. You're gonna have to shut up once stuff starts going.
I know. I'm willing to do that. I feel like I can talk and shut up at a moment's notice. As actually, I believe this is us again. Yeah, hey, how you
Oh,
doing?
hi.
Still waiting on the pause bug, so it means I can talk. Let's go. No vision in the pit. That was
Yeah.
the one thing that I noticed is DOGG actually does not have vision in the pit. So if they want to go for a steal, it might be a little harder.
I
There
mean,
you go. Expert analysis from an expert analyst.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I can't remember if they scrying orbed it earlier. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say that they have some idea that the HP is getting lower.
Probably.
I
But the
don't know.
question is, when do you go in as Wukong? You are invisible for a second after going in. Hold on. There we go.
Oh, and here we go. And they came off the Baron. Okay. It regens a bit. Cody is still waiting for his moment to shine. The Law is going to immediately drop the quickness, so he's going to charm him up and give Cody no chance. It got close. And...
What happened? Game's over.
Wait, they FF!
Let's
Who FF? What's
go!
going on?
The
Wait.
game. That's how you win the game now. Did you not hear? It's first Baron is how you win the game. What is going on?
I don't even know which
What
team
is
FF'd to who won.
happening?
Who won and who FF'd?
It was a victory.
Thanks, Bonfire.
for
Yeah,
somebody.
wait, scroll over to one of their nexuses.
Yeah.
Maybe
Let's
we'll
see.
see which nexus blew up. Well, that has got to be
here we
the
go.
weirdest
Here we go.
finish
We're moving.
in my casting history. Oh, okay,
no, it was
so
Big Fat
Dorado
Panda.
Gaming gave up.
Well, maybe, or it was another Riot bug that we didn't know about.
Nope.
potentially.
Nope.
Why would
Nope.
they FF? I don't think they FF. There's no way they FF.
Okay, so I'm getting word that Hazem did not come back, and I believe Dorado Gaming, because of his circumstance, had to now FF the game.
Hey, Slayer, remember when I said
And-
that Baron risk, Baron take was the most NA thing ever? I think this might be the most NA thing ever.
This
What
is just this. Are we cursed as a casting pair this season, man?
This
I
is
think we're
looking like my
cursed.
solo duos right now. What is happening?
Well, so last week we lost. Me and you lost a game, or 2 weeks ago, me and you lost a game midway
That's
through,
fine.
and then we
That's
didn't
fine.
do a third game. And I mean, what's the point of this post game break? I mean, I know we have to throw it up, but I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So it was
I feel
close.
It's unfortunate for DOGG. I feel like they really had a striking chance at that one.
Well, and the person they're not getting back is highest in the damage charts.
They had a 2,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and Hazem was the one top of the damage charts. So that's the weirdest finish in my
that might
career
be
casting career history.
that might be the weirdest one.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and assume that Dorado Gaming Gamma are gonna take the time over the break to get a substitute, and I'm gonna be really sad if they just FF the whole series, because that would mean that myself and Bonfire have been
We've been
unfortunately
royally screwed.
circumstanced for
I will
two
say
casts in a
for
row.
DOGG, I am a plat top laner. Well, I'm a plat support, but I can flex top. So if you need somebody, I play.
Trust me,
pretty
you do
much-
not want him flexing top.
I pretty much solely play Ornn and Aatrox, which is yeah. I don't know. It's well. I guess I just kind of gave over my whole game plan. So maybe you don't want me to.
I also just don't think anybody actually You're not a plat top laner, man. You're a plat
plat
support player. Or potentially, I'll give you like maybe jungle,
Plat
but
jungler,
you are not
okay.
a plat top laner. That'd be
You're
like me
a
saying I'm a plat jungler.
you're an emerald AD carry, so that means you're probably like a plat top laner. So they should have you do it, right?
I do have some good pocket picks. If you guys are fans of Dragoon over there at Dorado Gaming, boy, have you seen my Mordekaiser yet? Exactly.
It is pretty good. I can admit it's pretty good. Or your Cho'Gath. What about your Cho'Gath?
Oh, those games were just silly.
I know,
Those games were
but
very silly. All right,
silly games good.
I've been told we need to shut up.
Do we?
By Caddy. Let's hear
He didn't say
Gordo and
shut up. He just said
Gofarino.
it's AD.
He said it nicely. I know
Okay,
what he means.
we'll shut
I
up.
know Caddy by this point. Enough of us rambling. Let's hear what Gordo and Gofarino have to say about this game. Yeah, take it away, guys.
Yeah,
Sure.
if you're looking to quell the yapping, this is not going to be the way to do it, y'all. This is we're not going to have any kind of unique analysis here on this game that got FF'd. But I have received an update. Dorado's going to bring in an E sub. They're going to give it another shot here, so we'll see
Okay.
who that's going to be. Rest in peace, my boys. We could pull up a couple of replays. Sure. I mean, I
Yeah.
think this is here. I
I
got
remember the
some on the
hair
copy paste.
wasn't there all fight.
I'll throw some timestamps in the chat.
14:45. That bot lane fight that was good.
Yeah. There you go. I threw some in the
Maybe
chat.
6 minutes.
Yeah, grab whatever you want, Caddy. Grab what feels right.
22:30. That was a big one.
Ooh, yeah.
And the last replay I listed was the start of the Baron.
All you get there is the start of the Baron. So
No, we get to see the Baron get taken at least.
yeah, but I don't know. I don't know if the people need to be reminded of this. So
Yeah.
BFP up 1-0. Everyone's predictions are dead except for Bonfire and Caddies. That's a shame.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Bonfire said a lot of nice things about my predicting ability in the cast, and now they're all out the window. Although
Your homie was gassing you up.
this is an extenuating circumstance. I'm going to be honest. Nothing that he said has to be untrue. Let's find this
So
big engage here.
oh my god. That is juicy. And
Good.
what's more? I don't know what else to say. That sure was a 4-man hostile takeover. Or 4-gamer hostile takeover you want to be.
Yep.
Gender
Really-
friendly.
Really ends up working well there. Nicely played by Tay to be able to scrape a little something back there. If Tay goes down, I mean, Bovia might get run down by the Gwen there as well. This could have been an ace. Doesn't end up being an ace. Doesn't matter whether it's an ace or not, because they do not get to finish the game. But
Yeah.
while we're breaking some stuff down one way or the other, I do wonder what their E sub top laner is going to look like here, because I do like a lot of these predictions were driven by what was going to be a perceived top gap, and now the team that we were assuming an E sub top gap for, or that we were assuming a top gap for, is now E subbed out. So
That is true. We can make this week's predictions only count half as much for
now
final point standings.
here's a real thinker for you, Gofarino.
I don't want to think.
Fearless format,
I
different
was
player.
actually just thinking about that.
Different player. Is the Gwen still disabled?
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, since this was an early FF, it'd be funny if there was fearless workarounds, since the game ended in certain circumstances. Yeah.
Okay,
All
dog is
right, so
taking
we're
red
gonna have
again.
the same sides here.
Yep, same sides for game number 2. I do think the Gwen remains disabled, because like even if you wanted a Gwen jungle or something, you wouldn't be allowed to. So it's not about the
Yeah.
unique player; it's about the team.
It would be kind of funny though if they had this in like LCS, so then teams would actually start flexing their subs like, oh no, but our academy player can play the meta top laner here.
Yep, that'd be
That
huge.
would
That'd be a
also
huge boon for all those LCS teams that have academy teams, both of them.
yeah.
Uh,
Oh hey, an incentive to actually field your academy team and train them.
oh boy, give me my kingdom for incentives to field an academy team. I mean,
There was that one time, I think it was season 5, where CLG just fielded their academy team for a lot of the split while they scrimmed in Korea, and
Yeah,
they nearly got
that was
relegated.
that was season 4. So here's a fun fact about that while we're yapping as promised is the emergency subbed players, Bizarro CLG as it was known at the time. They had Hotshot GG on that team. I think
Oh
a lot of the
my.
players have been lost to time. A lot of Bizarro CLG has been lost to time. Another notable player, do you know who played jungle for Bizarro CLG, Goferino?
It's gonna be a name we know.
It is gonna be a name you know.
I mean, I don't know who, but
You wanna take a guess?
uh, I don't know, Meteos. It definitely wasn't Meteos, but
No,
that is a
it was not
guess.
Medios. It's NRG head coach Think Card
Oh, think
in
card.
some of his only LCS games played was on Bizarro CLG, getting to play a couple of games there. And
I'll
with that,
check.
we're into the draft, baby. Yeah, he played
Yeah.
on Old
Yep.
Evil Geniuses and on Bizarro CLG and never won an LCS game, but he played several.
That's true. Yeah. So this draft is going to be a little bit funny since it is an e-sub. Let me double check if they lose bans here. I don't see any words on losing bans. Um, but it is also kind of hard to analyze last game because it was pretty even, all things considered. Dorado Gaming definitely felt like they had the upper hand in the team fights there. Those hostile takeovers were really clutch. But I mean, Big Fat Pandas, we're keeping it pretty close. They're winning in a lot of the skirmishes themselves. So I'm very curious. I mean, this draft is guaranteed to be different since there is a new player here and also Fearless. But
True.
oh, alrighty. Looks like they're losing 2 bans.
No. All right. A 2 ban penalty per game that they are in. So yeah, will be couple of folks that aren't going to be available ban wise. So we'll see how that's going to affect Dorado Gaming. They're in a tough situation now. I'm not going to lie. They're down 2 bans. They I assume they are phase 1 bans as well. That's usually how these sorts of penalties work.
Yep.
I've been given a multi GG.
Oh,
Uh,
let's
this dude
look.
has 5 accounts. Um, interesting. Interesting.
Huh.
That's
Well,
a lot
well,
of
good on them
accounts.
for flexing, I
Truth.
guess.
Truth. Well, flexing is a strong word there. Oh, I guess flexing in this
Across
sense,
different
not really
accounts,
flexing
yeah.
in the role sense. They play top
In
lane on all the
flex
accounts.
queue. Yeah.
Fair. Fair. So, with that established, I mean, 3 of these accounts appear to be like basically inactive. They're unranked on the current season, but
Yeah,
we
might have
don't have to
been
talk about any of
purple.
that. Mahoraga, I believe I'm pronouncing that right.
That is the
Noah on
highest ranking account, so
yeah, so we're gonna call him Mahoraga. It's the highest ranking
Maharaga.
account. It's got the most games in it. I think it's the highest level account as well. So I'm going to assume that that is their main account. That is the account where they own most of the champions, and that will therefore be the account they're playing on. As the draft is now kicked off,
Oh,
let's check
nice.
out what pick and ban is going to look like here. There's a Seta ban. They're keeping that one the same from prior drafts. Maokai ban coming through as well,
Huh.
and I think that is their 1 ban. I think they're going to have to blank these other 2.
Yeah. So, fun fact, I checked the levels of these accounts, and Maharaga is only level 70. The account Noah hashtags 6P5 is level 416.
Oh, so Noah may be
Yeah.
the
I
main
think
account there then.
highest level account take or highest elo account takes prio.
As far as what you count as elo wise, yeah, but you can play on
Yeah.
whatever account you want. Uh,
Yeah. I
so
figured playing on Noah would be more handy because I'm assuming the level 416 account has more champions.
yeah, that's also probably where all your skins are at. I'd say that's the move. Um, I guess we'll find out when we get into game,
Yeah.
but that's my prediction at least. So still going to be higher ranked than their opposition here. We'll see how much of a difference that ends up making as the bans were basically kept the same. That is, oh, this is
Yeah.
cool. I like how they can. This is a smart idea. Rather than having to wait down and blank the bans, they're just banning fearless champs because that's
Okay,
like
yeah.
banning nothing. That's pretty cool.
Definitely handy.
That's a life
That threw
hack.
me for a loop though, because I saw those Banes come through. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I know. It's just that these fools, they're banning champs that the other two can't pick, and I'm like, oh, actually, they're banning bans that they can't ban. So makes a lot of sense actually when you think about it. So that's gonna be
Yeah.
first pick Rel coming through for the big fat pandas. That is likely gonna be in the jungle. I just assume Rel's jungle most of the time these days. Could still be flexed over to support though. That's not
Yeah.
outside the realm of possibility. There's going to be that Nocturne. You cannot pair it up with the Oriana, as that has been fearless off. So the question is, what are you going to take with it? I mean, is Nico
Mhm.
disabled in this league? Probably should be. It doesn't mean it is.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think
Uh,
of that as one of the other, like the big AoE CC ultis are the ones I want to see with the Nocturne. I like the Nico a lot with it. I like Kennen a lot with it. That was a duo that was getting pretty popular for a while. Wouldn't mind seeing that one. They're going to save their solo lanes, though. They're going to take themselves an
mhm.
Ezreal here to go into the bot lane and to make sure that they're going to be as safe as possible up against the Rel engaged, no matter what role it's coming from.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, funnily enough, I've been seeing more support rel than the rungle, as people call it. So yeah. Oh, the Rek'Sai. Okay. That is interesting. Yeah, it's been a while since I've actually got to cast a Rek'Sai. Was in pro play jail infamously for half a decade, I want to say, before the rework to the ulti to what we now know today, where you just leap at them, it does a bunch of damage, has that homing target bit on it. The
Yep.
Kaisa Rel is a very strong combo in the bot lane. Going into the Ezreal, though, the Ezreal does have Arcane Shift, which, always makes it hard to engage on top of him. Okay. Talia.
All right. Yeah, there's going to be that Cassidon ban as well. So Talia coming on through in the mid lane. They're going to ban to defend it. I like Talia Nocturne. It's not as exciting to me as like those big
Mhm,
AoE ultimates, but it does give you that global power to be able to move around, try to influence the bottom lane. The only problem is your bot laner's Ezreal. I feel like that's not the guy that you usually want to gank for too much, but we shall see. It's likely going to be
mhm,
Kaisa Rel bot lane here. And they're still going to ban top laners, even though support hasn't been locked in. That does open up some interesting possibilities of support. I'm a really big fan of the Bard with the Ezreal these days. We'll
mhm.
see if Dog's got a Bard in the old pocket here that Marco would be willing to bring on out. Looking at
Okay.
the Braum for now
Mm,
instead.
I can see it. There isn't too much you're blocking with the wall here, but the concussive blows passive really can hard punish Rel, Kaisa, and Rek'Sai when they go in. Like if you get tagged as Kaisa here with the Braum concussive blows, it's followed up by a Winter's Bite Q. The Ezreal's able to do auto Q. You're just insta stun, which is huge. Kiana does well into the Talia. You have a lot of kill threat, but I don't. Okay, been a while since I've seen a Talia or Kiana.
Absolutely, here's the Kiana. Very likely to be going mid lane here. There's the Volibear.
Mm,
This is getting buffed next patch. It has not been buffed yet, but it will be the blind pick, I assume, top laner. I don't think you could play Volibear into Talia. That sounds miserable. Kiana into Talia sounds a little miserable too, not gonna lie,
I
but
know.
you are pretty obligated to play one of those now. You'll see what the pick of the Volibear is going to be for Dog here. Ooh, looking at the Gnar, looking at the Cassante. I believe that Cassante is locked in.
Yep. Alrighty. I mean, Cassante should be able to go toe to toe with the Volibear pretty decently. Of course, the Volibear has a very strong early game if you don't play around the cooldowns. When the cooldowns are down, it's easy to trade into the Volibear. I've been told the Thundering Smash has a longish cooldown, so that's usually a good opportunity to trade. And you have the Nocturne in the jungle. Assuming the Volibear is constantly pushing up, that should be a juicy gank target there to get your top laner snowballing.
Absolutely can be here. We'll have to see then. So, I mean, you get all this global pressure with the Nocturne and the Talia, and it just doesn't feel like you have a lot of great targets to go towards. I mean, the Ezreal Braum with bot lane probably where they're going to end up going a lot, trying to
Mhm,
punish the low range this Kaisa, especially pre six, punish the lack of disengage on the Rel, see if you can bait her to go in, and then really punish there while she's in her slowed, dismounted form. So I think that's probably going to be the game plan here. It feels like you could have gone a harder snowballing 80 carry with that, but the Ezreal will certainly not hate getting a little bit of extra gold into it. And that's a solid early game plan to be able to try
Mhm.
to get yourself through. And the Ezreal will be very effective up against what is basically just a team full of assassins. I mean, everybody's just going to be running at you, trying to CC you and one shot the Ezreal. So the ability to kite that out is going to come in super handy.
Yeah, yeah. Big Fat Panda definitely preying on the death of a rock star here, wanting to kill this Ezreal. Although, like you mentioned, very hard to kill that Ezreal. I wonder if we see the Iceborne come out here to deal with the Kiana diving you. It's possible. Not entirely sure if it does come out though. I think Iceborne's been making a bit of a comeback.
Definitely do like the Iceborne. I don't know if it's the build that we're going to see today, but it's definitely something to get excited about. If we end up seeing it, I think it's been pretty good.
Oh, we're
Whoa, whoa,
blind. Okay.
whoa, whoa, whoa! We're blind picking. All right.
This messes up the stat site. Because you don't get bans and you don't see the pick order. Because there
Yeah.
is no
I
pick
mean, the
order.
stats site is, I think it's just kind of, we're calling a mulligan on the stats site for this split, right? Like, I mean, tourney codes weren't working for most of the season, which I think also screwed the stats site.
Yeah.
So, you take it. You take the L's when they come on up as, yeah, going to get our lock-ins coming on through here. This is definitely, I'm excited to see this Kiana for Bovia. I think that's really where I'm going to be focusing in on a lot because I feel like
Mhm.
Kianas are so feast or famine, right? Sometimes you get like the crazy Chinese Smurf Kiana who just like one shots everybody on the team all the time and is like pulling off some of these crazy combos with the elements that you're just completely unprepared for. And sometimes she just like dashes forward. Audacity is the dash ability name, and just gets one shot like mid Audacity, and then she's useless. Uh, Especially if she starts accidentally stunning herself on Unraveled Earths. That's going to be real dangerous and real difficult to play into. So this is going to be an interesting matchup. I want to see just how well versed Bovia is here on this Kiana.
Hmm.
It is their most played in solo queue. They do have 34 Kiana games this season on a 65% win rate. That's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Uh you definitely kind of need the games on Kiana since she takes some getting used to what with the elements.
Yeah.
Because like
I
having
wonder,
to remember all that on
you
most
think the
champions, it's
map
like, oh, you just
changes?
autopilot the dash here.
I wonder how the map changes affected Kiana because it's got to be. So the bushes are now further out from
Yeah,
mid
but you just
lane.
have to dash in their direction.
I don't, but it's not infinite. Like you need your
Yeah,
range
it's
is
not
like a
infinite.
bubble. Your range is a bubble. So I wonder, maybe it makes no difference. I would have to get into practice tool and test this out. But
Yeah.
because the bushes are a little farther away, and there's river between the lane and the bushes, which didn't used to be the case
Hmm.
before. So it's probably harder to get the bush element and easier to get the river element.
Hmm.
And the river element is the snare, while the bush element is the stealth.
Yeah.
I don't know what you need in lane more. I don't know. Like I think
Yeah.
the stealth one's always been so good in lane, especially up against auto attackers. But I wonder if that's just something you've like that Kiana players just settled on because you had to kind of go out of your way to get the stun.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
I also wonder if Earth is more preferable for wave clear, if that hits certain thresholds for executing minions. Since that is the one that gives you bonus damage. We're also getting news that there's another top laner swap here for big fat pandas.
We're just handshaking these top lane substitutions? I'm so confused, dude.
Oh, mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
So this is a toaster coming on in for Big Fat Panda in game number 2. This is actually a sub on their roster, so they will suffer no penalties for this.
yeah.
Uh a toaster. Is this a Volibear main? It smells like a Volibear main. Uh I see a couple of Volibear games in there. Some good stat lines
Ah,
on those Volibear games. So perhaps we've
yeah.
got a Volibear player in our midst.
That's interesting. I'm not used to seeing the ghost on Volibear top or the grasp. I usually see, at least in flex queue, it's usually the press the attack or lethal tempo. That's much more lane orientated. So of course the Volibears you see in solo queue are usually much more damage orientated. AP Volibear very popular when it comes to Volibear builds in solo queue.
I do love me some AP Volibear. Have you seen the Volibear buffs? Like this champion's actually going to be so good.
Yeah,
On
I'm
the
kind
next
of spooked
patch.
by it because I haven't learned how to trade with him in top lane yet. I only got a Reddit comment like 2 days ago telling me, "Oh yeah, you just play around the long cooldowns," which I briefly mentioned earlier. I'm like, "Oh okay, that's gonna be handy knowledge for when I have to deal with him in lane or cast."
I do think it's going to be tough. It's good in the jungle too right now.
Mm,
So we will have to see. Like the buffs are for jungle, especially. At least I feel like they're for jungle. It's like
I hope they're for
movement, extra
jungle.
movement speed on the Q,
Hmm.
CDR off the ult. They made the ults up more often, but it disables turret for less time, which I think is
One
a
second less,
buff.
yeah.
It's a buff especially for comp, right? Because I think the best part of the ult isn't just that you turn off the turret; it's that you reset the turret, so
Yeah,
the damage amp starts over again. So I think that's gonna be that's gonna be big. Keep your eyes open for Volibear next patch, especially LCS and ACL playing on live
yeah.
patch.
That one also makes it pretty huge. So looks like we've gone through the champion select timer. But the
Yeah.
spectator delay. Okay, looks like that is also the spectator delay.
Game is ready. So we're going to send it back over to Slayer and Bonfire, who may just get to cast a Nexus exploding this time for the first time in weeks. Slayer, Bonfire, take it away.
Joke's on you, Gordo. The
No!
Nexus. Oh, shut up, Bonfires.
Look at it.
This is cool. This is cool. Come on.
That
Was cool. That was a cinematic intro. But joke's on Gordo. Technically, the Nexus did explode in that last game. So,
We didn't get to see it though. He was right about that. We didn't get to see it because we were so confused what the hell was happening. I would like to ask our producer. First of all, Caddy, I was unfamiliar with your game. I didn't know you were like that. I would like to do a first-person Kiana POV when we get a chance, or at least a third person right over her shoulder.
What kind of capabilities do you think he has?
Yeah, right, perfect.
He can't do that. There's no way he could do that.
He had it like kind of like he swapped the camera, so it was looking.
Yeah, because he has preset camera paths around the rift. He doesn't have. He can't just turn first person on the League of Legends Bonfire.
I thought I didn't know. Yeah, I guess you're right. I think too highly of Caddy, I suppose. No,
It's not even a caddy thing. It's like, yeah, he can shake the can. It's not like a caddy thing. It's just like common sense. How would you make this game first person?
No. I don't know.
No. That's a standard Bonfire comment right there. Don't even get me started with what he thinks he can fly internationally. All right, we'll save that comment for some other time.
All right, man. Okay. Whatever. I'm not even gonna comment on it. I'll let it slide this time. But this is your only warning, Slayer.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it is.
Well, so we do have a double top swap, which I thought was
it's kind of interesting.
intriguing, right?
It's all in favor of the game. I feel like I appreciate that. I will say something that's very cool about Risen is it does feel like teams are very nice to each other and they recognize the spirit of competition. We've had a lot of times where somebody's been out and they've said don't give them a ban penalty, it's fine, or somebody loses a game and it's don't worry, we can just play it again, or someone's has a scheduling issue. I feel like people are very nice in this league to allow for some inconsistencies. It's the spirit of competition, but it's also it's a friendly league.
Well, Dorado Gaming did have a ban penalty, so.
Well, yes, but I'm saying being able to swap top laners and whatnot.
Yeah. I mean, yes, but Big Fat Panda didn't have any say in it. Yeah, like it was an e-sub, so whatever happens, happens. Regardless, the intriguing part is they swap. Big Fat Panda swapped to a top laner that. Now, this doesn't mean a lot in the competitive environment, but a Toaster does have a higher peak than Elo Freak, which is intriguing. He is a diamond player, so he plays a lot of Mord and Volibear, who play very similarly, I like to think. So, really relying on the shield. We do have a Rek'Sai in as well, which is very intriguing. Immediately, Logiplex does get Seismic shoved nearly into turret, which is just on brand, and takes a huge amount of trading.
Yeah, it doesn't though, so feels pretty comfortable to be okay. I will say it might actually matter when we look at this next potential Scuttle Crab fight. Will that chunk matter? But Does look like the Rek'Sai has that innate healing in their pocket. Should feel comfortable enough getting that health back. Also, the Vision did spot him just at the very end, so this Nocturne is going to know where this Rek'Sai is. The question is, again, what do they do with that information? And right now, it doesn't really look like they want to do anything.
We do have some very volatile lanes. No pun intended with the top side for that one. I was more referring to Bovia on Kiana because I think Gordo brought up a good point where it's like it's definitely a champion where you kind of gotta slam your moments or you're just giga useless in the game. As we do get a double stun coming across on the Law, but he does eat the Braum passive. Arcane shift forward from Carino. Flash for the ignite. That is a dead Law. Oh, the shield on the crackdown.
Hold on. Oh.
Outplayed. Still both summoners down, but outplayed.
Yeah, it's so hard. I feel like, nobody ever talks enough about how strong early game Braum is as a support. You proc that passive and it just makes it so difficult. Noah has to be careful right now. Wave's getting shoved in as well. They could go for a dive, but they don't know where this Nocturne is. So they don't feel comfortable enough. This is also a Cassante. A flashless Cassante. They decide to go against it.
Yeah, I mean, that would just be overzealous, I feel. Maybe it was just a good old hover just to make sure if Nocturne did show up, but a pre-6 Nocturne gank is a rarity, I would say. Which does bring up the point, right? Do you expect Logilex to be ganking more often? As Kerrigan will get spotted out by Law, but... Alright, that's the full Rel combo. So that's it right there, baby. Nothing else Law can do. Just a couple more autos. Yep. I would expect the Rek'Sai to be more active until level 6. That's the point of the pick, I would assume, for Logilex.
Yeah, we haven't really seen a lot of Logilex this game. We saw him mid roam up a little bit and immediately get knocked into nearly tower range like you were talked about. And we saw him kind of eye up top lane, but nothing came of it. And other than that, Rek'Sai's just been farming up. But we might see a fight here. We might have our first fight here as they're going to spot this Nocturne. A level 4 Nocturne.
There are no ultimates up on fire. Bovie doesn't even have ultimate. Brody does see, stun locks. A fear comes across, double seismic shove as well. Gets Law and Logilex out of there. Kerrigan might have just saved Goaty, but now this is Ezreal's time to shine. Carino looking for avenues forward. Does have the flash if he wants it. Good crash down. They just burned the Braum. See you later. Law sets it up. The rest of the team knocks it down. Goaty is going to find the trail on Law, and here comes a Cassante out of who knows where. Noah's going to find the kill onto Logilex. Goes to teleport, popped it. Somehow this works out for Dorado Gaming. It might work out even more. Bovia does get over that wall safely.
Yeah, great job right there from Noah. In his first game of the series, hopping in, filling the role that the Gwen had provided, and his team's in a bit of a hole, needs the advantage, and right there, great roam right there, being able to ensure that it is not an even fight numbers wise, and then teleporting top to make sure that this Volibear isn't going to get too much in response. So I really like that right there from the Cassante, but I like this even more from Big Fat Panda, recognizing they have the tempo advantage and getting Law up there earlier rather than later, able to take all 3 Grubbians.
Enjoy this while you can, Law, because Rel's shield-breaking capabilities are soon to go away for those jungle creeps, and that's why Rel jungle is so broken right now. I like roaming it up like you talked about to grab all those Void Grubbians. They'll get all 3 over to those pesky Pandas. And also, first blood did go to Bovia, so we talked about Kiana, needs to be effective.
Whoa.
That's the turret turned off. Hello, a Toaster wants to go electric. He's got his friends to come along his cross, but all out goes out for a Noah who wants to outplay. He's stun locked against the wall. Grody is here as well. Logilex now falls. This dive goes completely sideways.
No.
All 3 die to the hands of DOGG.
Oh, it's a horror. It's an absolute horror right there. Bovia should be okay to just walk out. I don't imagine they'll die right now.
Very low HP. Misses Supreme Display of Talent. Oh, that is, that's rough.
Oh, God. Slayer, this is turning into a horror.
This is a messy game.
Yeah,
oh, boy.
This is bad. First of all, 3 for nothing in the top side is about as bad as it can get. Then losing a 1v1 in the mid lane, down 20 CS in the mid lane as well, means really all your hope is on this, at least right now, on this Kai'Sa. And this is a scaling Kai'Sa, so if you want to go for fights, you're just going to be in a disadvantage for quite a while. It's good you got the Void Grubs, you ensure that you're not going to get 5 Void Grubs, but man, you are in a tough position. You got a good team fighting composition. The question is, can you really make it work with being down 2,000 gold at 8 minutes?
Yeah, I didn't even hate that dive. I think it was just desynced. Like,
Yeah.
a Toaster turned off the turret 5 seconds before Goaty or, excuse me, Logilex or Law were even over the wall. So by the time they got over the wall, the turret was back on. And,
Well, yeah, and Logilex had no ultimate on the Rex side, so you can't dodge turret aggro like that. So there was just really no way to dodge turret aggro. Noah's pretty happy about that right there, I suppose, getting some dance moves out. As a whole, like I said, doesn't really get much worse than that. So BFP in a bit of a hole, but Pandas are endangered. They're still around. Maybe they've got some fight left in them still.
Yeah, I mean, I said earlier, you just don't dive Cassandre, man. I mean, there's an Unstoppable, there's a couple of CC abilities with ult, it gets even worse. You don't dive Cassandre, and I think they learned the lesson. But now the question becomes, where can they get something back into this game? You talked about the Void Grubs is certainly a possibility. I think Jungle, though, does get a lot more rough because Goaty now has Ultimate online. He's also 3-0. So, you know, this Kaisa, Gordo talked about there's some mobility on a lot of these targets for Nocturne, but it's a lot of damage you can put out already with that Tiamat done.
Yeah, this Nocturne will do, like you said, a lot of damage. And with that spell shield, you can avoid. I mean, there's not a lot of CC on Big Fat Panda, so as long as you're able to dodge one of those CC abilities with that spell shield, you're feeling pretty comfortable. It does feel like once that Nocturne ult goes up, Big Fat Panda, their opportunity to fight goes down. Jump right there from Bovia, but should be traded out damage-wise with Aaron getting that knockback. And again we go.
A lot of vertical jungling coming out here from Logilex, who is just trying to get back in the CS department. Goaty likes his odds with a gank. We'll see if Bovia can get that invisibility for him from the brush. He is pretty far from a brush. This is the bad part about playing mid lane Kiana now. And looks like he'll just hover. I thought that might be a good gank attempt. Flashes down on Bovia if he wants it. He'll step up now. Seismic Shove's going to whiff. They're going for it. Can he get the stealth form in time? He cannot. See you later, Bovia. That was too easy for Goaty.
Yeah, and this is the concern that you were talking about with this Nocturne. It was too easy. It was, I mean, realistically, not even that great of a gank. You just press the ultimate and go in. They don't even get the knockback on the Kiana right there. So it is slightly concerning as Steve Noah favors his odds right here against the Volibear just from trading. It's the concerning part about this Nocturne is when it's that easy to get down Kiana, how's it going to be for everybody else?
Ghost pop by both of them. Toaster doesn't want to turn the turret off again. He learned. He's learning. He's learning.
Does get a good chunk right there though, and the ghost off of this Cassandre means they're going to get wave shoved in, which means potentially with Void Grubs up, they could go for all 6 Void Grubs. Bovia is the target here, but I think should be fine to get out.
Let's see if they get the Braum passive. Immediately has to flash a Seismic Shove, and as quickly as that came off cooldown, Bovia is now a lot more susceptible to a gank. Bot side, can we see a play on a Carino? Has the Arcane Shift and Flash up. Flashes over the Baron Dragon Wall, but the W follows him. Tay gets the kill.
Ooh, hold on.
And now Goaty and the rest of them might be in trouble. Logiplex still has ultimate available if he wants it. Dragon is under half HP, and with Carino dying, they just abandoned the Drake in a bit of an opening for those Pandas.
Yeah, if they have to give it up, I will say, I believe that DOGG should be able to get the Void Grubs, but they're not immediately turning towards it, even with the numbers. And yeah, I love this from Law right here, saying, all right, you're not going to go for the Void Grubs.
He went for one hell of a play and he gets shoved under turret. Another thrown member of BFT under the turret, and now Grody might look for more. Bovia's Ignite is soon to tick off. Great Supreme Display talent might save his life, though, and the turn will come out. Shutdown onto Logilex. A Toaster jumping forward. Kerrigan has very low mana, but he still has to get chased down by that pesky bear. One more slice will find it. And this game continues to just be as scrappy as possible. Bot side, Carino, you gotta be careful. Drops the exhaust, cleanse flash away. Tay makes it look too easy. What is going on at Summer's Rift? It's not done yet. These top players are now slugging it out. Noah all out. Law shows back up and makes sure the shutdown comes across. And in a matter of a minute, this game is dead even in gold.
Yeah, that was a delayed ace right there, Slayer. DOGG gonna throw their entire lead away, and Big Fat Panda have found a way back into it. Like I said, Pandas might be endangered. They're not extinct. You have to be careful for those bamboo eaters. And they feel pretty comfortable getting themselves back into this game. And just some misplays across the board. It looked like Law had overstepped. As might have to stop right now. Goaty is able to get one of them, but big number right there would have to be 2. I don't think he's going to be able to steal both. That's going to be 5 Void Grubs going over to Big Fat Panda. this could be the snowballing option they need to get themselves a comfortable lead. Because right now, about dead even.
Interesting thing to watch going forward as well with the comp drafted
Uh-oh.
by Big Fat Panda. Is Logilex? Nah, he's fine. He's fine. He's got Bovia. The Volibear has been pigeonholed.
For Goaty.
Yeah, true. The Toaster has been pigeonholed into going to AP Volibear because the rest of his comp is all AD. So very effective in the 1v1. We'll see how it plays out as the game goes along. Could be a factor for this Cassante, and his Braum might kind of be unkillable with how little actual AP damage a Volibear can bring in those 5v5s.
Yeah, but the Volibear does, you know, when you go AP Volley, it does mean that you can just blow somebody up. You're able to lock someone down. So that is kind of the strength of it. Like you said, you're not nearly as tanky, but with Rift Maker, that gives you some health. You know, there are AP items now that give you some health. Maybe there's a world where you still get, you know, decently tanky, and you can just kind of be more of a bruiser rather than a full tank. But yeah, like you said, I mean, you do have a Rel and a Rek'Sai. I do think that you have enough tanking members on your team, or at least bruiser members on your team, that it's not so much of a concern. But like you said, you won't have that immediate like front line.
Yeah, I'm just saying Noah and Braum can just itemize armor, and you really only have to worry about a Toaster's damage. And like you talked about, he's not really going to be trying to dump his damage onto the tanks. He's going to be diving. So we'll see. I mean, Cassante's memed for how tanky and unkillable he can get, and it's a great game for him to do so later in the stages. Right now, though, he's still having to deal with that AP Volibear, and he has itemized pretty magic resist heavy so far.
I mean, honestly, he's kind of all over the place. He's just got a weird little grab bag, kind of a thrift shop. Got a trowel, some boots, an armor plate. What is that? A skirt? I don't know what that is.
A skirt. It's a Null Magic Mantle.
So a thrift shop.
It does kind of look like a skirt. I'll give you that one.
No items. No items on this 2-in-1 Cassante. So I mean that is what an AP Cassante, or not an AP Cassante, an AP Volibear will give you is you have to respect the AP damage, go some MR, but you also want to go, like you said, armor, because everybody else is AD damage, and it means you're kind of being pulled in two directions.
He's cooking something. We'll see what the final product looks like, because Noah is going to have to be a big part of the damage right now. This Israel has been somewhat stunted, and, well, it's not like he's going to outscale a Lethal Temple Kaisa. Talia, great combo from Kerrigan. Can he get enough damage over top on a Bovia? He's just dead. Bovia didn't have a chance. He didn't get an ability off.
Wow. Okay. I did not know that Kiana did that in Season 14. I remember very strong last season, but man, you don't really see that often. Not really one of the flashier picks you see in pro play. And right there, it goes to show, beat a Kiana, or excuse me.
They're going after the bear. The fear does still land. Kerrigan's topside as well. Beautiful overload there from Dorado Gaming, and it's going to help them take back that gold lead.
Yeah, Talia is giga fed right now. No way around it. This is a 4-in-1 Talia, 152 farm. That's almost the best in the game, best on the team. This is a very, very, very strong Talia, and so I feel like the zoning and the spacing alongside an Ezreal might be something that we didn't really talk a lot about, but could be a huge win con.
A Cosmic Drive also kind of doing dividends. It's kind of a wacky first pick for a lot of people, but
good for spacing.
It makes sense into Kiana. Yeah, also it helps you survive jump-ins as we got Law jumping out. A TP coming across from Kerrigan. Drops the Metal Storm, but that is a dead Rel. Will finally fall. That forces Logilex off of the Dragon as Noah also shows up. So this might be another instance of a pick play swaying the Dragon take, this time in the hands of Gamma.
Yeah, they get the Dragon, they get the kill. They are going to lose their top turret, but I think you're pretty happy about that. You're able to get more gold in your pocket and stop the Dragon stacking, and indeed, Big Fat Panda just have to waddle themselves away. Not really much you can do without your Rel right there, and so have to just be content with getting the top turret on the other side of the map, I suppose. But really, really great work right there, recognizing Law was just a little bit over pushed, getting both teleports out, locking down the Rel, and securing yourself another Dragon.
Now we certainly have our focal points of the damage. As you get look at the gold. It's pretty close between the teams. It's a 300 separating it, but you can see where the gaps are in these lanes. This keeping it so close and making it such an advantage for certain players.
Yeah, there are definitely certain players that you have to be concerned about. Kerrigan, probably top of the list right there, 5-1. Feels like all of the kills are just being donated over to this Talia. I don't even know if it's donating if they're if they're taking them by force. Just with the sheer damage that they're putting out. I will say, even with all the money that they've acquired for themselves, doesn't really look like there's that many. Like you said, Cosmic Drive is not really a pure damage item, and then you've got the stopwatch. So very defensive, very concerned of being able to kite, being able, if you're hopped on, to stopwatch away, or I suppose there's a different name now. I'll always call it the stopwatch. And so when it comes just to straight pure damage that you provide, might not be on the levels of some other champions.
Oh, do we have another support getting caught out? It's Marcote this time. Braum Shield does a lot, and yep, that's Braum for you, ladies and gentlemen. Just soaks up all of that damage. But back to your point here is Kerrigan, his defensive items might get tested. Bovia gonna look for the knockback. Here's the Kenyatta combo. Kerrigan immediately goes golden. Great call. Has no teammates coming for him. Bovia flashes out of the seismic shove. And here comes Carino and company. Can they get Bovia before he kills Kerrigan? Yes. Yes, they can. And Kerrigan's itemizations just saved his shutdown.
Yeah, and that is the strength that comes from it, right? When you don't go pure damage and you go defensive, you're able to survive 1v1s like that. And so a massive play right there. You'd imagine that next up is going to be the straight Zanyas, because you no longer have that stop opponent. But yeah, that another kill, being able to get onto this Kiana. And I will say, Bovia, 1-4, not the game you want to be having on Kiana. Does grab that tunneler, or excuse me, the shirk. So they're not out of it. They still do damage, as you saw, but it's difficult. It's definitely difficult.
What Baron Pit are we getting? Ooh, my favorite one. Tunnels. I think that one's called Tunnels.
Tunnels? I think it's something like that. It's kind of ruined for me after last game when we saw it inverted. I can't look at it the same after that.
I think that was a different Baron Pit, though. We had.
No,
do we have tunnels?
Tunnels, yes.
Okay. Okay, my bad. Zanyas is complete here for Kerrigan, and the point I was going to make literally got shown by the play, but you're up against a comp with a Kaisa, a Kiana, and a Rek'Sai, and a Volibear. So literally 4 champions with dive abilities, 3 of them being their ultimates. This is a really heads-up play from Kerrigan. It's the type of veteran leadership I expect from the captain of FaZe.
This is true. Still lost a donk, though. Still got donked.
Dude. Every time we hear that guy's name, man, I
know, it is very funny. It is very funny. But what's not funny is,
he just missed the wave, by the way.
Yeah, I'm not really sure where Carino was going with that. You're an Ezreal player. You tell me.
I'm going to be honest with you. I find it very hard to shoot the Ezreal straight sometimes, which is weird, but I've done that a lot before. So I actually know where Carino's coming from with that one.
You're giving Carino the benefit of the doubt. I respect that. Whole team's just farming up, getting the wave shoved in, getting their itemizations before this dragon comes up in a minute. Taking resets as we get into a bit of a lull in this game.
Cloud Soul. We didn't really talk about that.
No, it's Cloud Soul.
It's good for both teams, though, I feel. No?
Yeah, it depends on, what champion. It's good on...
Especially Pandas, actually.
I mean, it's really good on Nocturne.
Yeah. It was also really good on Volibear and Rek'Sai. And Rel.
That is true. But especially this Nocturne. We'll have to see if we even get to that point, as we're still only 2 dragons on DOGG, 1 on Big Fat Pandas, and both teams are going to fight over this mid-wave right now. You got to be careful, right? Because they were trying to get them in the river, but they don't want to give up this mid-turret, and now they're kind of getting dragged around. They don't know where they want to go. Both teams kind of jostling for position, dragging up in 10 seconds. I will say, if DOGG, they don't really have a wave to shove in. They can't really threaten mid-tower, and they have no control right now. It is very, very dark. We can toggle vision right now for DOGG. We'll see how dark it is.
Well, Noah is just getting lit up. Gets his entire shield shredded through. This is a hard part of the game for Goaty to play. Is if he jumps on the wrong person, he'll just die. And they're just burning the Baron. Tay on that auto-attack-oriented Kaisa, they're just going to pick it up. And like you mentioned, because it's a non-soul-threatening dragon, you can just give it even the stacks and take the gold in the mid lane.
Yeah. They were able to get the wave shoved in time, patch a room over the Volibear, and Volibear against that many people, you can't really clear wave quick enough. So they have to give up the mid tower. Now the question is, look at how dark it is. Yeah, exactly. Look at how dark it is now. Are they able to walk in?
You see Noah on the bot side. But here's the Death Rush. Gonjalex flashes right forward. He wants Kerrigan, but goes into the stasis at such a great time. Carino's gonna be safe as well. Rel gets a huge crash down, but can the damage come across? Goaty picks off Logalex, all out from Noah, throws one in the back line. Carino, though, is still untouched, just free firing on this Ezreal. Shutdown galore, and they set Carino up to knock them all down. It's an ace, Dorado Gaming Gamma.
Yeah, they set up in the bush right there and played that perfectly. The vision outplay, turn off the lights, and just makes it so difficult to group together as a team. I know we don't have replays right now, but if we were to see a replay, we would see that Tay had absolutely no way into that fight, was getting flanked by Noah, had no clue of it. Got Cassante ulted, and by the time they ulted back into the fight, pretty much over and just got popped near the end of it. So what looked like a good dragon take right there from Big Fat Pandas ended up being a disaster. They lose the Baron and pretty much all of their tempo, all of the lead that they had out the window. And this one gets queued up very nicely for Dorado Gaming.
Finally, Carino has his moment. He's at 3 items casually, and pulling out the Blade of the Ruin King on the Ezreal, which I don't see too often. I'm curious to see how this plays out. Very, very good for sustainability and single target damage, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's as simple as set up a death brush.
Yeah, I will say, how useless is this Rex, I feel? Because that fight, flashing in, getting a double knockup, and then immediately dying felt pretty bad. It just feels like when this Rek'Sai doesn't snowball out of control, it really just does nothing for the team. At least the Kiana has that ultimate where you're able to lock everybody up. Does a lot of good CC, good damage as well. You're able to burst out single targets, but this Rek'Sai just running around the map doing not a lot. And it's not even really Logalex's fault. It's just when you don't snowball on Rek'Sai, it's kind of the game plan right there. That's if you don't do it, you're in a lot of trouble. Yeah,
I think Kerrigan's just doing such a great job baiting in and staying safe. I mean, he immediately Zhonya's when Logalex flashes after him, and that just left that Rex on an island. We'll see if Logalex can find a way in. That Zhonya's is back up for Kerrigan. He has his flash available. Carino without flash here. And Ezreal, like Gordo talked about, really good at staying safe. So the siege just goes on here. We'll see how committed BFP are to letting this tier 2 tower stand.
Gotta get that cannon. They recognize that.
Oh,
they got it.
It's dead.
There's another wave coming. So they do what they need to do for now, but I think they should lose it right here, as this Baron buff is going to ensure that they lose this tower. Now the question is, how much do they lose after?
Oh, lights go out. They're jumping onto Logalex. They're going to convert front to back. Volibear is already dead. Logalex way too low. Law's falling away as well. The Weaver's Wall will delay backs. But Dorado Gaming just feel like they can keep pushing the tempo with no front line. Take everything they can see.
Yeah, I mean, they can take that, take the inhibitor, get a kill, push back towards the mid lane, continue to shove, or take a reset if they want. Probably actually take a reset at this point. And indeed, backs are coming out. They don't feel comfortable enough shoving more waves. But they get everything they wanted and more. An inhibitor, a kill, 2 towers. Pretty good if you are a Dorado Gaming fan. And the vision that they've set up as well is pretty impressive right now. Got the KDA's looking real good. DOGG would be surprised if they found a way to lose this game. I will say that, but I'm surprised before.
We certainly have Bonfire, but like you mentioned, it's just such a tough game to play out from here. You have a comp relying very much on the fact that you can pick out single targets with a Kinyana, with a Rek'Sai, with a Kai'Sa that can follow through as well, but the global ability of Dorado Gaming, and arguably their 2 most fed members, can kind of just show up wherever they want halfway across the map, right? 1 Weaver's Wall, 1 Paranoia, and you immediately have Goaty and Kerrigan on your head. And don't forget about Carino, who is starting to really ramp up here. My God. 1 more Mystic Shot, and that is a dead Bovia.
Yeah, Bovia getting really low. Do they want to Logalex?
Oh, okay. Logalex goes forward. He's dead. Not really much commentary there.
Yeah, this is one to forget from Logalex. That was... I don't even know how to justify that. Just hopping into 3 people with no teammates around is... It's not really what you want to do. I think it's the fair thing to say. But they might have this Cassante.
They're going for Cassante.
Oh,
Noah is going to turn it back around. Goes all out, but his health bar is way too low. So you get the Cassante, but what will it cost you? Because the rest of Dorado, they're hammered on this turret. That teleport, will it go through in time? It does. The Toaster's here, drops down the ultimate, going all in. But how much damage do they have? It's just the Kidana. The Kaisa goes in the back line, gets deleted. Tay's dead. Where's the damage left for Big Fat Pandas? There is none. It's all on a Toaster. He's feared up, chunked down, and we are going the distance. Dorado Gaming Gamma stand up and still want a shot at 3-0 in Group C.
Yeah, look, we talked about how strong their their mid game was. We saw it that game. Felt like they had such a good mid game there. At the beginning, Big Fat Panda had the lead, had the advantage, and felt like they had the momentum. But EOGG feels like they're undefeated once it comes to those skirmishes, moving their chess pieces around, getting their advantages where they can find them to get themselves the win in what ended up being a fairly dominant fashion. So they move 1-1 on the series. Could have been a 2-0. We'll never know. But we have to go the distance.
It's always fun going the distance. I don't really care about my prediction if we get game number 3s. And Bonfire, we saw Nexus explode.
Yeah.
It's been
this is true. I forgot what
14
it was
whole
like.
days.
I know. Unbelievable.
I'm so used to them exploding in my solo queue games when I lose. No, I'm kidding.
This is true. I queue up with him. We'll see. We'll see if Big Fat Panda has similar experiences to both you and I in solo queue, or if they can reverse their luck and get into winners queue. We'll have to see. I'm excited. Game 3. I mean, this is always the fun of Flawless at this point too, is we're starting to see some off the wall picks. Who knows what we're gonna get next game? I'm very excited.
Well, it wasn't a flawless game, but we do have a fearless draft. So, yeah, like you mentioned, we'll see how things go in. You said this is the.
I
You
know.
said
I'm aware.
Okay, I was making sure. I was
Just
making
throw it
enough.
to AJ.
Enough yapping from myself and Bonfire. For all the post-game coverage here, game number 2, we're going back to the analyst desk. Gordo and Goferino. Let's hear how you guys break down a game that doesn't end with a surrender.
It's my favorite kind, the ones that don't end in surrender and the ones that go to game number 3. We have got ourselves another one tonight. Goferino, Dorado Gaming Gamma coming up with the win when they get to keep their top laner the whole game long. They will be moving on to game number 3 up against BFP.
Yeah. Yeah, and very solid showing from them. I mean, kind of won the top side pretty handily. And yeah, they're just kind of able to carry on from that into the end of the game there. We saw it mostly around the mid to late game team fights this time around where they really took over, similar to game number 1 where they were able to get those huge pop-up team fights. This time it was with some more setup though, since you don't have those 4-man Renata Glasgow hostile takeovers.
Yeah, for sure. So looking like we got our first replay ready here. As you said, topside domination starting early for Dorado Gaming Gamma here as they get themselves a ridiculous lead off of a Toaster's first attempt at the under tower dive. You might be able to keep the turret alive for extra long in this current version of Volibear, but it is not enough to turn this back around. Logilex stays in
Ooh.
for too long. Law gonna end up dropping to Goaty, and it just all goes wrong here as the Nocturne gets off to a racing start.
Yeah, that is disastrous. The Volibear ulti dropped a little too early there before the rest of the team came on up for the Big Fat Pandas, and they pay that price heavily there. 4,000 stamina, the champion there that Cassante able to buy so much time.
Definitely the case. He stays up for forever, avoids going down, makes it a very, very Dorado favored dive. Yeah, you love the Volibear for his dive potential, but you definitely want to be a little bit better synced up there. I was saying it
Mhm.
earlier about the buffs. I do think the best way to use that power is to have, an item complete, start tanking the tower early, tank a shot or two, reset it, and then, be able to take a couple more shots on the way out if you absolutely have to. Does really help you survive a little bit. Those first turret shots, they hit a lot less hard than the later turret shots. And, even with that extended duration, it just does not end up being enough. As we get into our second replay here, we can see it was not over yet. BFP come
Mhm.
up big here in this mid game fight.
Yep. Oh, okay. It starts with this in the bot lane. They're able to pick up Carino. Oh, is this not the
This goes into,
this
I believe, the
this
follow-up
goes
play.
into it? Okay, yeah.
We
Yeah,
just
just a
gotta,
very extended setup. They get the
I believe it
pick
does.
here
We just
onto
gotta zip
Kareem.
through a little bit here.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets him the dragon. And then after this, we see the dive being set up here. Law gets way too frisky for their own good here. Flash Magnet Storm on in. Gets bopped right back into turret. Nocturne, Paranoia used just to be safe, and you even see the teleport coming out here from a Toaster. However, there's a great turn here coming out from Big Fat Pandas,
Yeah,
able to
just
get that
huge supreme
ulti
display of
on it.
talent there from Bovia to be able to stop them from coming in after him, and it sets up for the rest of the play.
Yeah, just able to clean this one on up. Technically was a 6-for-1 if we want to count the start of that fight, where they get the pick onto Kareen into the dragon, because while this was happening, there was a solo kill bot lane actually. So 6-for-1 ultimately off the back of what kind of looked like well, was a bad dive coming out from Law.
Yeah, Law gets a little too antsy for it, but does end up working out in their favor. That was the best Kiana play we saw all game. Unfortunately, did not get to keep that one up for too long. Ended up getting
Hmm.
set behind. And when your Rek'Sai and your Kiana are both behind in the game, that is not a recipe for success. Those champions want to be ahead and dictating the pace. So it made that comeback really, really tough. They got some great gold into the Kaisa there with the opportunity that they had, but it just does not end up being enough, as we'll see as we get a little bit later into the game here. We got another replay coming on up right now. We can check on out the big decisive Baron fight as yeah, a little bit of disrespect here coming out of the big fat pandas, as they just are not prepared for all the members of the OGG hiding out here.
Yeah, I think Big Fat Panda's members just thought they were already on the Baron, although with this pit you can kind of see. Oh, yeah, that's a great seismic shove here. You just catch him completely off guard. You have this teleport flank here. Even though that is a pretty good supreme display of talent, like the damage has already been done here. That paranoia as well, just making things so hard for you to keep track of. Cassante going all out, spam the copy pasta, whatever it is, and able to isolate that member in the pit there. And after all that easy cleaning up here, you only really give up your mid laner there, and then you pick up the Baron. That's where Dorado Gaming really just started taking the reign of this game, and what ultimately led him to win.
Definitely, they come up absolutely massive in that fight, and it's just too difficult to recover from there. They get so many towers. You can see it's so difficult to
Mhm.
defend with this team composition. Who's going to wave clear on this team? It's not going to be the Kiana. It's not going to be the Rek'Sai. It's not going to be the Volibear, and it's not going to be the Kaisa. So these waves just keep on coming in, and they never have a good answer to them. We had to fight that bot side that we don't have a replay of, where I mean, the team
Yeah.
just had to like expend all their resources to try to kill a siege minion, and then 10 seconds later, here's another wave. Bye bye inner turret. It's just so difficult
Mhm.
for them to be able to keep up the defense. It means that Dorado Gaming are going to be taking us to game at number 3 here, where hopefully we'll be ready to get into draft here in just a few moments.
Yep. Oh, looks like we won't have too much of a break here. Got the
Yeah,
we're
we
about
won't
to
even
start
break.
here from
We can
Caddy,
babble. We
so
can babble for a couple of minutes until the draft
yeah.
gets started.
I mean, I'm expecting draft to pop up here in like under a minute.
Yeah, it'll be any second here, as we will just wait around and see. We'll wait and see what we get, as this is game 3 fearless. That's usually the point, at least in like NACL and stuff, where the
Mhm.
drafts start getting a little wacky with it. Drafts have already been a little wacky. We've gotten to see some picks that we don't get to see too much of already, but hopefully that just becomes doubly true now as we get into our final game of the night.
Hey.
There are all of the fearless bands already up here, so going to be full 10 champs disabled for each side. I can't wait until we start getting into fearless BO5s. By the way, Go Farina, we are going to get some
That's gonna be
crazy
so funny.
drafts coming into those later games.
Yeah. Well, you have to hit all 5 games. Because
And
if it's a 3-game
we do.
stomp, it's going.
Have we ever cast a season of this league where we didn't have at least a game 5, one or
Yeah,
two
yeah, yeah.
coming on
There's
in?
gonna
Like,
definitely be one. Of course, we might be on the analyst desk, so we won't get to cast it per se.
that means we
Lucian,
get to
though.
cast the draft. That's the beauty of it.
Mhm.
This is the most exciting time. This is the most exciting
Yeah.
time of the night. It's the game 3 fearless draft. Lucian first picked for Big Fat Pandas, who, by the way, have opted on the blue side. They are going to keep things the same the whole night long. That's good.
Mhm.
It's going to make everybody nice and comfortable with which side is which color.
Yeah, the Xin Zhao being hovered, although that was pick game number 1. A
By
dog can
BFP.
pick it for themselves, though, so
Yep. So
yeah.
got to take a note out of BFP's book, take themselves that Xinjiao, and now perhaps their selection of bot laners. The Melio's up. It's going to be
Yeah.
Lucian Nami if you take away the Melio. but I still think there's a lot of value to being able to deny Lucian Melio. It's just such a good duo. It makes Lucian into a much more substantial late game threat because you can give him the extra range with Cozy Campfire. They're gonna take the Rakan
Okay.
though.
Yeah, I'm gonna take away that Rakan. Lucian Nami. Uh, I won't call it a retro throwback because it was kind of a big thing last season and the season before. Not really
Come on,
too
guys.
retro,
This is
but
the old hotness. We need the new hotness.
yeah,
More
yeah.
fire theme, less water theme. You know.
hmm Yeah, this is one of the side effects of Fearless Draft, though. AD carry as a position just tends to have generally a smaller pool of viable champions. So I'm expecting Dorado Gaming to pick up their AD carry in this next rotation here because Draven is off the board, Senna and Smolder
Ooh.
are off the board. You can already see they have the Varus and Ezreal off the board too. So you're gonna already have to be digging in a little here. You can pick up the Xayah for yourself here. It pairs well with the Rakan. It's fairly good itself here. We'll see if that's the case. It can be a little brutal against the Lucian Nami since the Lucian is able to just hop on you that easily. Echo going to be locked in here. I wonder if that's a counterpick into the Ralliant Soul. It can be going towards the jungle though.
I think it's a jungle echo. I believe Goaty
Mhm,
has some echo game. No, actually, it's Kerrigan. Kerrigan has the echo games, so never
mhm.
mind. I think this is mid lane echo going into the Aurelion Soul. I think it's probably going to be pretty good into the Aurelion Soul as well. As wow, going from Kiana to A Soul, by the way, in 2 games, the most perhaps different champions that I can think of in League of Legends are probably Kiana and Aurelion Soul. So really changing pace here. We'll see how they're going to be able to do with that one. As there's that expected Xayah ban. Very surprised to not see that one locked in here. Now, what else do you
Mhm.
ban? What else is good with the Rakan? I mean, you could ban away the Kaisa. Could instead it's going to be the Misfortune. And
Okay.
wow, there's a Samira hover coming
Ooh.
through if they have a little something cooked up to try to deal with these Lucian duos.
Mm, I don't know about. I mean, Samir through Khan, it's a pretty decent combo, but you usually want something much tankier in that support role. Because the thing is, Rakan, you go in and then you kind of dip back out. Samir, you kind of go in and then you stay in. Tristana, though, going to be the option here. Could be going mid lane still. We don't quite exactly know. There is some flex potential here.
Yeah. Thank you to production for calling me out here. By the way, if you haven't
Yeah.
noticed, Dorado they have their bands back.
Mm-hmm.
Hazim's back. So Hazim's going to be playing in this 3rd game, meaning we get a different matchup in the top lane every single game, players wise, not just champions wise. So that's an interesting one coming on through. As I do still think BFP are going to be starting. What was his name? A
A
toaster.
toaster.
Thank you, production. It was a toaster. I would have found it on the sheet before too long, but we got in there. So it's going to be a toaster starting for BFP.
Mm.
It's going to be Hazim starting for the side of Dorado Gaming Gamma. There's that Casante lock in. They're taking a page out of Dorado's book. Said, hey, this guy won last game. We're going to take him for ourselves this game. And they're going to take the Ivern into the jungle while they're at it. Do like to have that second support with the Lucian. He does still love getting boosted up and any chance he gets.
Hmm.
I'll be the pick of the Casante. There's that buff Darius. This Darius is good, man. I think this champ is great right now. And I think
You do.
definitely has the opportunity to punish some matchups like the Casante. They're going to lock it in for Hazim on his big comeback game.
Alrighty. Yeah, you do really have to win lane though. Here's this Darius, which I mean, everybody kind of knows, but the Cassante should be able to trade some blows back with you. But if you're able to run over this Cassante and put a toaster 6 feet under the ground, there goes all of Big Fat Panda's front line here because they have the Ivern jungle, which means you have a lot of healing and shielding and peeling for your back line here. But without a front line, you might just have this Lucian Aurelion Soul get absolutely run over here because everybody on the side of Dog is able to dash in, except for that Darius here for Hazim in the top lane. So, gonna be having to deal with that.
Definitely going to. Definitely also going to be reliant on, some big engage angles from the Rakan, some big flanks from the Xinjiao and the Echo to get that Darius into the fray whenever they can. As these guys on BFP, they are super mobile. They are super good at disengaging between what that Aurelion Soul brings to the table and what that Iron brings to the table and what that Nami brings to the table. How exactly are you going to be able to stay on top of the kite back game for Dorado. That is going to be a big question for them, and that is going to be something that they have got to figure out for themselves here in their efforts to come out on top.
Yeah, it's definitely the question of the hour here because it's very clear that Dorado, they have a composition that wants to go in here. They want to look for these big explosive team fights, whereas Big Fat Pandas, they definitely want to be cutting back here, like you mentioned here, Gordo. So, bit of a yin and yang here. Although typically there's more different team comps that counter each other, but two diametrically opposed teams in terms of playstyle. And they're actually drafting the clients, so that'll be nice for the stats website, which has had a bit of a rough run this season, as we mentioned last game.
Boosting that one up. Predictions are now live for game number 3. So go ahead, get in there, make your Travie Buck bets. See who is going to end up coming out on top of the night. We do have ourselves a game number 3 between Big Fat Pandas and Dorado Gaming Gamma, a match that has a very good chance of determining who is going to top Group C, and that means the winner here could very well be stamping themselves a ticket into those playoffs, into the double elimination portion of those playoffs. A loser will more than likely have to go in and play in that play-in stage where they are going to have their tournament lives at risk without that fallback of a lower bracket. It's a dangerous time. You definitely the difference between being first and second seed out of the groups are very, very large. It's not often that it's this large.
Yeah, yeah, because usually the format is it's like you come out the bottom seed. It's like okay, you're just facing the top seed from another group, but now the fact that you have to play that best of 5 to have a shot to get into the actual playoffs bracket, it is kind of brutal.
It is. Yeah. It's a cutthroat league, this split. Go for
Hmm.
Reno is you only get 4 games to prove yourselves, to prove that you get
Yeah,
to make it into playoffs, and only the top dog from those 4 games gets the guaranteed safety. And it's like, listen, we do our best with seeding, right? The group draw is as fair as it possibly can be, but it's not perfect.
yeah,
You
I know.
should not go in with infinite faith that you as a second seed are guaranteed better than the random third seed from a different group,
Hmm.
especially when the sample size of games is this small. Like it's
Yeah.
risky business to be in that play-in series. You would want to avoid it at all costs, and both of these teams have an opportunity to avoid it here.
Hmm. Yeah. Neither team really wants to do that. Of course, so there's still one more week. I'd have to double check
Two
the
more weeks,
standings
one
here.
more match for these two
Yeah,
teams
one
because
more
they
match.
or no, actually 2 more matches. No, one more
Yeah,
match. One more match
yeah. There's
after
one
this
more
week.
week.
One more
This
week.
is the
You're
second
right.
to last
This is
week.
week 4. This is week 4. There's 5 weeks. 4 matches, 5 weeks. I've confused
Yeah.
myself by thinking too
Yeah.
hard.
Alrighty.
Happen.
Yeah, checking the standings. Yeah, no matter who wins this, they should be guaranteed for. Actually, they go 3-0 today. They go 3-1 next week. The other team can go from
They
two
could
and one
drop
to
like if
three
they
and one.
dropped like if the loser of this game wins next week and the winner of this game loses next week, it
I'm
might
pretty.
come down to game record. I think it is game
I'm
record
pretty sure
before
it
it's head to
does. Yeah,
head. I could be wrong.
it's probably game record. That's usually the deciding
Also,
factor.
like if it's let's do some quick playoffs math here. Let's make the worst decision that you could possibly make on broadcast and do some quick playoffs math in real time on broadcast. Let's say DOGG wins here, then Crab's Radiant takes down BFP next week. Then you can end up with a three-way tie at 2-2 or at 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get all sorts of crazy tiebreaker stuff that's based on your game record and stuff. And we don't have that information offhand. That would be a lot more math
Yeah,
that I'm not willing to do live on broadcast. So
yeah. I'd
there's
have
still
to.
some other possibilities that could happen, but your percentage chance of being first seed goes through the roof with this win. Let's just put it that way.
I think you're guaranteed first seed if you win tonight. Unless there's some
Unless we
head
get that
to.
3-1 three-way tie situation, right? Like,
But then
that could
you'll have the
happen.
game record. I didn't see who these guys play
Yeah,
next week though.
it would depend on your game record. I have no idea what the but it would be the game record for all 3 teams. So it's like
So
I don't
next
know
week,
how I don't know what the game record of the Crabs Radiant is right now. Like you think I did that kind of prep?
So next week it's Crabs Radiance versus Big Fat Pandas.
Correct.
So
So, like,
Big Fat
imagine Big Fat
Pandas,
Pandas wins here tonight, and then Crabs win next week.
yeah,
And assuming Crabs win this week as well, then the Crabs could be 3-1, and Dorado could be 3-1, and Big Fat Pandas would be 3-1.
right. But Dorado 2-0'd Crab, so they have the head-to-head win. So what? It'd be a
But it'd
three-way
be
tie,
three-way
but
head-to-head because Dorado might 2-0 Crab, but then BFP could 2-1 Dorado. And then how hard did the Crabs beat BFP, right? The Crabs could 2-0 BFP. And then we've just got the circle.
yeah, I don't know. I think we need more time to
Yeah, no,
fully
there's a
think out all
lot of
the
playoff this
implications.
is why we say not to do
Yeah, do
playoff
it
math.
during Champion Select.
Well, yeah, I mean, this
Patty's
is
just flipping through the runes right now.
just desperate for content, anything to get us to talk about anything else.
I love talking about bracket seating. It fills me with joy. I mean, it is kind of fun, but yeah, going through the runes here, as everybody can tell, this is about as okay. Hail Blades on Echo. I don't know enough about Echo, so I haven't seen the meta builds. I know Electrocute is always a classic. Um, I can see the Halo Blades though,
Definitely.
kind of.
See,
All right.
got the first strike on the Lucian is pretty cool to see. So gonna be a little reliant on like getting some nice angles into that Rakan, not getting hit by like what's
Just
Rakan
straight
you
Tristana
called?
E.
Quill? Something Quill?
Gleaming Quill.
Gleaming Quill. Thank
I'd be
you.
more concerned about the explosive charge passive just randomly clipping you after a minion's killed.
Yep. I mean that definitely matters as well. Um yeah, so gonna be feels a little rough to try to proc that, but we'll see how Tay's gonna be able to do. Tay's been very impressive tonight. Tay's been able to make some pretty nice mechanical plays, even though it has not always been enough to win out
Ooh,
there. I do
it
think
has Ignite.
dude, they're trying to be aggressive here. I do think Carino's kind of big brained it though, right? By going the cleanse instead of the heal.
Yeah.
I think Carino comes out ahead in that game because he could just cleanse the
Mhm.
ignite. The ignite beats the heal beats the cleanse beats the ignite is how I tend to
Yeah.
think about it. And the
I
ghost
mean,
is just in there. Ghost is like universally good.
cleanse also in 5 versus 5, or yeah, 5 versus 5 professional play like this is sometimes kind of necessary on the Tristana bot lane, because if you rocket jump on in and get exhausted, you are kind of heavily boned here.
Yep,
That's why you see the cleanse so often on Tristana.
it's also fair.
Oh, sounds
With
like we
that,
are ready though to send it over to the casters, the gamers
yep,
of the
it is
hour.
time to get in here. Slayer and Bonfire, you guys take it away. You did such a good job casting a full game number 2. We're going to give you a full game at number 3. We'll be back later.
Wow, I feel so honored, Bonfire. He
Yeah.
bestowed the game 3 onto us here.
I don't think he had a choice.
No, he didn't. That was the. Yeah, that's the bit right there.
That's the bit.
I don't know about you, Bonfire. I have a couple interesting
Wait
gripes
a
with
second.
our draft here. One, I think Melio's way stronger than Nami. I find it crazy that we let Melio get through a draft untouched with a Lucian in the game. That's crazy to me. We'll see how Law does on the Nami. Also curious how Azim's comeback's going to be, that he's playing Darius into 4 ranged. That is
Yeah.
also rough. But hey, I'm casting for a reason.
Yeah. But speaking of casting, am I crazy or does Gotti just not get a pop for some reason?
Oh yeah, you just forgot one.
Either he forgot one or this is some hidden 50 gold means I can get my first item component and I don't need a pot tech that I'm getting introduced to.
Could be. I know Xin Zhao, one of the reasons why he's very good right now is because he gets his healing off of his E passive very quickly and constantly off camp. So
Yeah.
I could see why you wouldn't run a pot.
And
Could
then
also see why you don't run a pot on Ivern, actually, to be honest with you.
you're 50 gold closer, which means you could potentially go towards your item a little quicker, which means you can get on the map a little quicker.
It's definitely not his
Or-
E passive, as Caddy just reminded me.
Or I'm just capping and he forgot. I have no clue. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm actually very intrigued if this was an intentional decision or not.
Welcome back, Azim, though, and this is how you have to play against Darius, folks. I'm not kidding. Level 1, you give him the wave or you die. That's what happens like 9 out of 10 scenarios, unless you're playing some cringe range stop.
I mean, I would argue Darius is cringe. But we'll have to see how cringe it is.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay, Tay is knocked up, full passive. That's immediately exhaust out. So overstep from Tay, forces exhaust out early. That's one less thing Carino has to cleanse in this lane.
Yeah, I mean, good recognition that there's no dash early on this Lucian, as he could go for this buff if he doesn't recognize it, he doesn't know it, but
Logilix is still level 1.
I'm actually, oh no, there he goes, no, he's going for it. So he's gonna end up going for the buff, and yeah, that's I think how it goes on when you are on this Ivern, because you have to prep your plants and then run all the way and then pick them up. And...
Oh, hello. We're jumping back in. All right, I thought that might be more. Every time you see Tristana hop forward at early game, it's usually something crazy.
Yeah, able to get the chunks off on Tay, so it's not crazy, but it's not a kill. We'll see if it later on will turn into a kill, as Tay's definitely taking a lot of harass, but doing a good job of keeping up in the farm department. I'm just keeping an eye on this jungle matchup right now, because right now the Ivern's walking back to his camp and saying, where's my buff? It's no longer here, and the great heist has been complete. Gotti able to steal away, or Goaty. Did we decide if it was Goaty or Gotti? I don't remember.
I mean,
We're
Gotti
leaning
would be G-O-T-T-I in my mind.
Okay, we could lean towards Goaty. So Goaty is able to do the heist. Now the thing is, you're looking at Goaty's CS and you're thinking, well, he's down 10 CS, but Ivern is able to take camps fairly quickly. The issue is he can't really steal super well when he doesn't have smite up, and so I think Goaty still is the benefactor with that steal.
This is the rough lane. You know, I don't feel bad because it's a Cassante top, so yeah.
I feel a little bad.
We'll see if Logilix can alleviate some of this pressure. The wave's in a terrible spot. So, yeah, I mean, Logilix is now forced to just sit here and let a Toaster push in this wave because, God, he would lose so much CS if he was isolated.
Yeah, and getting some help from his Ivern as well is going to make it a little easier. Going to ensure that he doesn't die trying to shovel wave in and get some CS. Good recognition from the jungler that my top laner is in a bit of trouble and they might need help. Now, the issue is, I believe that Tay and Law have to be careful. You do have the vision, but will it be enough? Ooh,
good dash from Tay, flash from Law is required. So another key summoner. Those are both down off of Law for the time being. Exhaust should be up soon.
Able to get that summoner off like you talked about. And those are 2 summoners down. Exhaust is coming up soon enough.
Here we go again. Oh, okay. Tay's going to get knocked up this time. He's out of mana. But Marcotte need to get back to Carino, so it actually works out being a good trade. This is such a volatile bottom lane that I'm just expecting more to happen every time somebody dashes forward.
Yeah, I think that both teams really want to reset and get that first component, advantage. And it's really going to come down to, who's able to get that advantage at this point. But I also think both people are very uncomfortable with this position. You don't want to be the one to slip up first because, like you said, it is very volatile. You make that first mistake, if you blink first, that could be your whole lane down the drain. As Arrogant going fishing, he's going to find an Ivern. He's got to be careful here.
Yeah, he's very low on mana and health. They do have Prio on the top side, so Hazim will just roam down. And I don't think Logilix is going to have too much of a chance. I'm assuming he has smite advantage now. Echo Shield coming down. Good route. They're going right after this Ivern. Hazim immediately flashes away. Kerrigan trying to jump on this Aesol, who does get interrupted. Bovia very low. Flashes everywhere. Oh! But it's actually Bovia that drive-by grabs first blood. And that's all.
That is a saving play right there, because for most of it, I thought it looked like a disaster. DOGG had the first roam. They're much better early on with the champions that they've drafted. But Bovia being able to pull a rabbit out of a hat right there ensures that they're able to get some grubs, they're able to get a kill, first blood. I mean, that is a massive, massive kill to find, and that's going to sway a lot of this early game. Now, obviously, top side is still a horror right now for the Cassante, but the mid lane, which could have been a potential issue if the Aesol fell behind, it's been evened out a little bit.
God, I mean, A Toaster's wave is once again in a crap position. He's at 15 CS, and now he's trading with Darius that has ultimate online. Gonna try to get all the Human Plague stacks. Gets the slow. If he gets a Q and an ult off, this is a kill. There it is!
Yep.
I am a prophet, and Hazim has first blood. Or not first blood. Solo Bolo.
Solo bolo. I will say, I played top lane a couple nights ago, and I went Cassante, and I was into a Darius, and I can confirm it was about this bad. It's no fun.
Well, it's not fun. The bot side, we miss a bubble because Tay now has to flash away. Law does not have flash up. Kerrigan looking for a dive. Does have that Echo ult, but doesn't going to need it. Tay just gets popped. Law's going to be next. Kerrigan ults right out. The Chrono Shift. And that's a seamless dive there from Dorado Gaming.
Yeah, it really feels like Big Fat Panda have a bit of a lack of damage right now. I mean, you're kind of hoping that all of your damage is going to be on this Lucian and this Asol, and at least early on, that's going to be a bit of a problem. This Cassante is getting abused in the top side. It just feels like this Ivern's getting pushed and pulled across the map. He's needed in so many different lanes, and you just don't have any damage on the Ivern. Your utility pick hasn't really had a lot of impact in the fights that they had. And I was talking about it earlier, that Asol kill was kind of a miracle that they were able to find that before they died. If the miracle didn't happen, you don't get those void grubs, and this game looks a lot worse than it is. Still only a 500 gold difference, but I'll tell you what, it just does not feel good right now if you are the side of Big Fat Panda. You need that scaling to come across. They need this Asol to be a huge problem. Just don't see how this is going to be possible in the early to mid game.
Yeah, they're going to have to lean really heavily on this Asol, who I will say, I think Aurelion Sol is in a very good position in the meta to delete people later in the game, especially with early leads. So Bovia is in that spot, but like you mentioned, you can't put the crutch all on one champion. That's just not how League of Legends works.
Yeah, I gotta say, also, I know you're talking about the range disadvantage that Darius is gonna have to go into, but Asol is ranged, but also has to stay in place the entire time, getting his damage across, unless you're able to slowly, kind of segue your way across the lane while you spit fire. I feel like the Darius doesn't mind that, and so I think that's one of my other concerns, is that Bovia
the charm lockdown. Do they have enough bursts? No, Ivern shows up. Daisy's here. The shields make sure nothing is to fear as well. So good attempt on the dive forward. Orko will just burn flash, and BFP limps away.
But again, this is what I was talking about earlier. Logilex is just needed in so many different lanes. I mean, if you look topside, this is Cassante struggling as is.
Oh no.
Maybe die here. Oh. I mean, that's a huge chunk. Is probably begging for the Ivern to help out. Ivern's getting his camp stolen, but he still has to help out bot side, so you can't do whatever you want, and now Logilex is dead.
Kerrigan, easy setup stun on the parallel convergence. Good cancel on the blast going from a coat. So Logilex has no options out except flashing. They go into Bovia, who has to interrupt his Starfire. Kerrigan's going real deep. He has the chrono break and will have to use it defensively. But all of that just to try and steal a blue buff.
Yeah, and again, this entire time, Cody said, all right, this is fantastic. My top laner is giga fed ahead of this Cassante. And I know that the Ivern is losing trades in the bot side. I'm just going to continue to take all of his camps. And I think grubs are next on the menu when they do end up spawning. So it's just tough, right? This is a tough Ivern game. And I got to say, I know that Logilex is a good jungler. We've seen good jungle games from Logilex. But these last two games have raised some serious concerns in my eyes of Logilex, because it really feels like if you don't get ahead, if Logilex doesn't get ahead, really starts to be a bit of an issue for the rest of his team and the rest of the game.
Rek'Sai game was certainly rough. On Ivern, you are very utility-oriented, but like you mentioned, you still can't pull utility too thin or it becomes not very helpful. We do see for once the Toaster has a bit of a shove in the wave here, does cancel the pullback, but Azim just pops Ghost, goes for Ghost. Can he run away in time? The slows, nope. Here comes the Noxy Guillotine. He goes all out, drops all of his defenses, makes sure that ult hurts even harder, and Azim has another solo kill on the top side.
Yeah, and Logilex is trying to go for Void Grubs this entire time. I believe got one, but that's not going to be enough, and so everybody else is just going to roam over. Void Grubs aren't going to be able to be taken by Big Fat Panda, or at least 5 won't be able to get taken, and it's just a horror. Here again, just trying to get some damage onto Bovia. Look, the Ivern shields are good. There's no doubt about that. You look at those Ivern shields and you're thinking, wow, that's pretty decent. But I don't know. Stop me if I'm harping on this too long. It just feels like this Ivern is in an impossible position this game.
I agree. It's a tough game for Logilex. I don't know what more he can really do right now.
And that's the point I'm trying to make, that it feels like you drafted a lot of losing lanes and not a lot of damage. This Ivern is just, what do you do, right? You can't take up neutral objectives. It's very difficult to invade and get steals, and you're needed on every point of the map. It's just like a jungle nightmare.
And it's getting worse and worse. I mean, the gold lead's at 2,000. You're now going to be evened up in Void Grubs. You're down a Dragon too. This is a rough game, and there's not like there's a lot of really good engage even on this Big Fat Panda comp, right? Like it's like Ivern looking for roots and knockups, a Nami wave, Cassante knockbacks.
I mean, it's great disengage. It's great disengage with a Nami and an Ivern, but when you're behind, you don't need disengage. You need to be able to push the objective because it really feels like DOGG can just take whatever they want, whenever they want, as long as they don't show up to a fight empty-handed. And indeed, they do roam over their mid laner, ensure that they can check out these wards. A lot of eyes are going to be on Bovia, like we were talking about earlier, but a lot of eyes are also going to be on Tay, especially with how much presence that this Ivern is showing in the bot side. They're putting a lot of pressure on this bot laner. I know Gordo was talking about how Tay has had a pretty strong series so far. Gonna have to have a pretty monumental, miraculous game here if they're gonna do anything.
Yeah, Tay has shown mastery on a lot of champions, basically
God,
from a kit standpoint.
Yeah,
Top lane turret's already gone. They're going to try to answer on the bot side. That is teleport coming out here from the Fed Darius. They're going right for both of you. Dres drops down sense, but Marcode has them both picked here. Can't get the damage across. Tay's getting burned down. The Buster Shot will not kill him, but the Noxian Guillotine will. And now Hazim is fully unleashed, just bopping heads, clicking R like it's nothing. Immediate double Hazim, and he might push for more with the resets. Cannot get close enough under the turret, but it's a Hazim diff once more, and maybe he isn't done. Gets one pullback, forces the flash out of Logiplex, and dunks him home. Hazim is taking over game number 3. His internet will not defy him.
Yeah, Slayer, this one is looking really, really tough, and it's just getting worse, isn't it? As the map is out quite a little bit. That's not the production, by the way. I was watching an LEC cast. It happens when the map is changing with the soul coming up, you know. So we're seeing all the things across the map. It's another Riot bug. Surprise, surprise. Yeah, I don't know. It's a horror. Top lane is completely over. This Darius is going to be giga fed. I mean, it's 20 CS difference in the jungle as well. The Xin Zhao has not had to do anything but farm up. That will be a problem when the Xin Zhao hops on you.
Oh, please
take a quick little pause here.
Please tell me Hazim's internet's not out again.
That would actually kind of be the worst case scenario. Maybe they're doxing Hazim. I'm just joking.
Well,
I'm joking.
We do not here at Risen Esports think anybody is doxing anybody.
It's a bad joke. It's a bad joke. They're not doxing Hazim, but he's in a tough position.
Just had to make that clarified. Bonfire certainly likes to push limits with some of the comedy here.
Why did I get? All right, you know what?
I do kind of. Because you made the joke that he's doxing somebody.
Whatever. Well, let's assume that Hazim isn't, DCing, and if he does come back, we can talk about the game state, which is really tough. It's really, really tough for the Pandas to get back into this game. Now, they do have good disengage. We were talking about that. They do have an Ivern. They do have a Nami. They have shielding. They have healing. That is the positives that they have. The negatives is that I don't think they will be able to do enough damage before this Darius slam dunks on them, or this Echo one-shots their backline, or any number of different possibilities. And they get scaled on. So, not great.
Yeah. And I know we talked about it is floor range into with Darius. I think the real only champion that does a decently good job at actually ranging him is going to be Bovia. Because, I mean, this is still like a Lucian. And when you go for the range game, right, like it's a low range AD that relies a lot on positioning. It's also a Nami is one of those ranges. Also an Ivern is one of those ranges. So the range is there, but it's not like a ton of damage either. I don't know. Luckily, we're back live, so no internet DC issues afoot here. But we come back to a nearly 5K gold lead in a pretty pivotal game 3, and Reno looking to push it here. Jumps right in, does get the W reset, but New Law was around there. Smart move.
Yeah, that's some damage, though. That is one Buster Shot completely bustered up. Or no, Buster Shot's the ultimate. Cluster Bomb, I believe? Is that the name of it?
We'll go with that one. I mean,
I think that's right.
He did have a Buster Shot in there. I mean, he did.
Did he ult? No, I don't think he ulted.
Oh, he didn't? Jesus.
No,
okay.
No,
Explosive charge. Right.
Explosive charge. So is it Buster Shot is the E? Or,
Buster Shot is the ult. That is the ult.
Buster Shot is the ult. Explosive charge. So what's Cluster Bomb? I feel like that's the name of something. I don't know. We're completely losing the plot of the movie here. Kerrigan getting some damage onto Tay. And this game will continue going on. Nobody's DCing yet. We're going to hopefully be able to see a Nexus explode. And honestly, Slayer, if this game continues to go the way that it's been going, I think it's going to be the blue Nexus that's going to be the exploding first.
Hot take there from Bonfire.
I know, completely off the wall state.
We do see Goaty and Hazim are going to just knock down as many topside objectives as they've been given, because boys the lead over to that side of the map, right? So Shelly is already down here. We have quite a while before that dragon spawns. But I don't mean to rub salt in the wound, but what are we on task for? Like a 20? I guess it's a bit of a later soul,
25
but
minutes.
that's still an option for.
It's a 23.
Well, no, the soul is. Oh yeah, why did I think 10 minutes? So yeah,
No,
you're
no,
right.
no.
So yeah, even that is bad. 23-minute soul is pretty on par.
It'll be an early soul, and I mean, assuming that they're not able to steal one back. They also, I've talked about this many times while playing League. A lot of this is just about lane pressure. Kerrigan then takes some damage. A lot of League is just lane pressure. It's how much pressure can you put on the map, right? When you are pushing lanes. And right now, all of the lanes are being shoved in. It feels like Big Fat Panda are just constantly having to be on the back foot, just trying desperately to keep their towers alive, and trying to push waves out past the halfway mark. That's going to make things very difficult.
Yeah, the only real good wave clear they have is this A-Soul, who might be the best at clearing waves in the entire game, but he can only be at one lane at a point. They drop Rift Herald mid. They're going to try to get the explosive charge onto that turret, and they should burn it.
Slayer, I gotta ask, are you hearing these audio issues right now?
Yeah, I think it's only on our side.
Okay, it's only on our side. All right, good. Just making sure that we're not having any problems with the stream. I can deal with it as long as our beautiful viewers don't have to.
And it's gone just like that.
Yeah, as soon as I mentioned it, but it was aware that I had, pointed it out. It stopped. 6,000 gold lead for DOGG. It's only gonna get worse here once this tower is taken. Over 6,000 now. And with the dragon coming up in a minute 10, I just do not think Big Fat Panda have any right to be able to contest this, and so they're probably just gonna give it.
Yeah, I mean, don't got a lot of expert analysis here. You probably should just give this Drake. There's no point even contesting until it's soul. And like you mentioned, it's kind of just farming up and looking for avenues to go for picks. But like we mentioned, what are you hoping for, right? Like a prairie bubble. Maybe like a really good Sky's Descend from Bovia when he gets that one back up.
Yeah.
Ivern's setting up with a root, but even then, like, these are champions that are hard to pick off. Like Goaty, Crescent Guard can block so much damage. You can just chrono break out if you're Kerrigan. And Carino, if you get the reset, you can just hop right out.
Has both summoners up as well, so it's incredibly difficult to lock them
And
up. Law
lost
almost
that.
got one shot.
Yep. Oh, does get the Iron Shield and the Redemption, so that's a good save. Marcote is very low, and he will actually fall to Logilex. So there's a pick. Big Fat Panda's got something.
Yeah, some over-aggression right there. They do get both summoners off of Law, but critically the kill onto Marcote means that they could potentially try to go for a fight now, because the Rakan is kind of all of their engage. And nope, they roam over to the Darius. They don't feel comfortable enough walking into Fog of War. Even with that pick, doesn't really matter. Just some gold in their pockets, but they lose the dragon. Able to get top shoved potentially, but Azim has teleport, so yeah, and he's just gonna walk his way. He doesn't even care. Just gonna walk his way top. So that's the thing, right, Slayer? Sometimes it's about the kill and transition that into neutral objectives. Sometimes when you're this far behind, it's just a flat 300 gold.
And that 300 gold is very minute compared to the 6K gold lead that Dorado Gaming and Gamma are now holding on to. And like you mentioned, the best thing to do while you're ahead is just keep wave shoved, keep vision the jungle, and play your game as it comes to you. And right now coming is Bovia, but he is able to dash out. They might have Marcote pinned again, but Rakan is easy to get on dash out on. They have a pick onto Carino, who does cleanse the Ignite, but the shutdown comes across for Tay. Maybe a rescue for a Toaster, but here comes Hazim teleporting in. They're going to have to keep him locked out because he'll just flank out the team, but they might not need Hazim. Kerrigan pops Tay. A Toaster has to dash on out. But a 1-for-1 potentially could go for more here with Hazim's low health bar. It's kind of a win again for BFP.
Yeah, it's a big win right there. They're able to stop the shove in the bot side. It feels like DOGG getting a little overzealous with their pushing under towers and trying to dive and all that, and they end up losing out on the numbers advantage. Ends up being a 1-for-1, but again, you take those if you are a Big Fat Panda. Any bit of gold you're able to get in your pockets is a big one, and they've lowered this lead under 6,000 now, so they're not out of this game yet. I know both of us have been fairly cynical, I think for good reason, But the game's not over until the fat lady sings, and I'm not seeing Gragas in a wig singing anytime soon. So we will have to see if anything changes with this Baron coming up. And
Oh,
Law.
we're doing this again. I mean, the Iron Shields are doing wonders, but you can't shield through that Tristana damage. Law is dead. And they might go look for more here. If Logic just get picked off, this might just be a free Baron. He has to flash out. Redemption saves, and Carino jumps over the wall to find him. Doesn't have a ton of damage to burn through him just alone. Hazim's coming down to flank him. I'm assuming a Toaster is just dead. He was in the background. Logilex gets out, but Baron is on the cards for DOGG.
Yep, they got what they were coming for. They get the Nami, they get the Cassante, they get all the vision, all the pressure on this Baron. They don't even lose mid tower to this Lucian either. Echo able to come grab that. And with that, they should be able to get one of the final puzzle pieces they need to close out this series. 21-minute Dragon. I mean, this is, I'll break it down for you. They take a reset here, they get tons of great items, they sync the waves, they push all of the waves in, and then with the Dragon in 2 minutes, which is Soul, with all the waves shoved in and all the pressure on the map and no vision, they get themselves Soul, and that should probably be it, Slayer.
Yeah, my point about the game kind of stalling out was going to be that we hadn't got to the real vital point because Baron wasn't up yet and the Soul wasn't up yet. But Dorado Gaming kind of already got the pick before I could make that point and grab the Baron. So now, if you are Big Fat Panda, yeah, sure, you can start catching waves, get some gold kind of back from catching the waves, you know. But at some point, you're either going to have to give a very overpowered Ocean Soul or walk into a jungle you can't see at all. It's all fog, and win a fight against a team that is an item and a half ahead of you in most lanes.
And potentially lose your inhibitor. If they don't take the fight, if they give over the Dragon, you probably lose most, if not all, of your base. So, with Baron buff and the shoving waves and whatnot, so I mean, it's really a lose-lose situation. This would be great though if they're able to find a pick, but not easy to lock down either of those members, especially with other people around to help out, and you don't have the Assault, so that's like a lot of your damage. They recognize it's not really possible. They've got mid shoved in right now, forcing Tay to grab it. Bot side, they've got wave shoved. I mean, this is perfect wave synchronization, right? Get all your waves synced together, make sure that you can push them all at the same time, force them into 1v1s and 2v2s and whatnot. And once they overload a side of the map, you take the other part.
Yeah, they're going to have to go for some sort of pick. They think their target might be Kerrigan. But immediately, Tay walks back out. They do have the very powerful Sky's Descent ultimate where they want to use it, but they are bleeding gold on all sides of the map here. First mid-tier 2 goes down. A fresh wave coming in towards the bot side. It's only Toaster to defend. And this is just a great methodical macro game right now from Dorado Gaming. It's really just them making a mistake that seals this one.
Yeah, you've got the ASO wave clear, so there is a world where you don't have to give up 2 towers. You only have to give up the bot one, which would be, I think, probably best case scenario. And indeed, it looks like Kerrigan wants to reset, potentially get an item or at least some components before that next dragon fight.
Oh, we got the Gromp.
I think he did get the Grump, yeah, there you go.
It's like Bovia could eat a whole plate of Gromps.
Yeah, Bobby would be happy with some Grumps. It does look like Kerrigan just wants to, yeah, Kerrigan's actually going to get it. I take it back. Now the question is, does he get out?
He always has Chrono Break. The Logilex is coming over here. Bovia running forward. Be able to dash and do a bit of drive-by. Great route from Logilex. Kerrigan goes over the wall trying to avoid the Starfire. Keep in mind, he has Chrono Break whenever he wants to go back, but he might not need it the way this Echo can just dash over walls. The root not going to land, and Kerrigan is safe. That means more turrets on the menu.
Yeah, that's a horror. You don't kill the Echo, you lose a bot turret, you lose a soul. Oh, it's a horror right there. Baron buff down, so maybe the siege will end soon, but I don't think this one feels pretty over, my friends. It just feels like there's just nothing that they can do. They're getting dragged around the map, down 10,000 at this point. And yeah, it's a little bit of an unfortunate ending to what was a pretty interesting series across the board. I think there probably are going to be questions on whether Game 1 would have gone over to DOGG if it had played out, but we'll never know. It was a close game, you know? We just have to play it as it lies. In reality, it was a 2-1 win for some team, probably DOGG. And this third game has looked all dominance. I mean, it really feels like they have not slipped up.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Big Fat Panda's comp is you drafted for heavy setup advantage.
Yeah.
And you lost so early that you never had setup anywhere else on the map. I mean,
I-
Ivern Bushes and Asol can zone so well. You never got any of that.
Yeah, they wanted to win the war of attrition. Shielding, healing, poke, just kind of kiting, hopefully win that way. But I don't know, man. It just does not really feel possible. And this Darius was a huge thorn in the side. It really felt like once this Cassante fell behind, it wasn't able to take up the initial damage that was provided. It just kind of fell off a cliff. And it's tough as well because this Cassante has to itemize in so many different ways. Has very little to no MR right now, which means if this Echo hops on this Cassante, he gets popped. So it's a tough game. It's a tough game for sure. It feels like they were betrayed a little bit by the draft, if I'm being honest. But what are you gonna do?
I mean, all I can really see is from a draft perspective, this is the rough part about, playing blue side the whole time is you don't get a counter pick in lanes. I think this comp would have really worked if they just didn't lose early so hard. That is a lot of comps. They'll have to go for some sort of hero plays. There's only so much we can do talking about the past, and unless they want to just slowly bleed out, at some point you got to get aggressive and just try and kill off one of these members. Try to get one of these shutdowns just for something.
Yeah, it does feel like they're just getting shoved in every single lane, and they don't really have an answer to it, like you were talking about. I mean, this Asol can clear waves fairly well. It's kind of the one positive that's provided, but it's not going to be enough. And this Echo is shoving bot side, and Darius is shoving top side, and so on and so on. You just constantly have having your turrets being whittled down, and there's not even Baron up. In 20 seconds, Baron comes back up, and this game probably ends. So they need to press the go button at some point. But like you were saying earlier, they don't really have that go button. who goes in? Ivern? Lucian ult? It's just tough.
They're very much locked out.
Yeah.
And while a casual viewer, a 14 kill game with such a lopsided win is it's not the most entertaining television, but for knowledgeable League fans, this is entertaining in the macro play. This is what a type of game that can set Dorado Gaming apart from the field. Unless Kerrigan gets picked here, the Chrono breaks and does have to flash, so that's a key summoner down. But like we mentioned, look what else is happening.
Yeah. I mean, Kerrigan has just basically been a thorn in their side, constantly, dashing in and out with the bubble, or with the, Echo, I don't know what to call it, and getting that shield, parallel convergence, thank you. Just dashing in and out, constantly, being able to run away, forcing their attention. Meanwhile, the rest of his team getting those big neutral objectives across the map, and you said it right, they have to press the go button, but I just don't see how they're able to do it, and unfortunately, I think that time to press the go button and make a final stand is gone. At this point, even if they do press that go button, I just don't see a world where they win.
Yeah, I mean, this game would already be over if Asol didn't have near unanswerable wave clear with his with his QW or QE combo there. So we'll see. But like we mentioned, you can only stick Bovie in one lane. So with Baron now up, Ocean Soul, Dorado Gaming, they can play a lot less scared.
I mean, they could wait for Elder if they really wanted to make sure this game was over, or they could really just make a final push here. We'll have to see. Looks like Kerrigan's going to do a big chunk over to a Toaster as both teams continue to fight over inhibitors now. I mean, you really have to fight over the inhibitors, I suppose, because once the inhibitors are down, then the game is really over. And mid inhibitor, soon to fall.
Yeah, they might have Marcotte picked. He's getting burned very quickly. Asol going to jump forward, but Rakan so good at dashing out, as good as he is at going in. The inhibitor will survive, and that's the biggest win we've gotten in the last 5 minutes.
This is true. Bot turret, I don't think will be awarded the same fate. Indeed, it is going to fall. Top turret also soon to fall as Kerrigan dashes in, gets the damage, and there goes mid inhib. Top inhib.
Go in!
Fall, bot inhib. I mean,
just go in, man. I mean.
Oh! Okay.
I wasn't talking about Kerrigan, by the way. Okay, so they give him triple inhib. At some point, you have to make a turn, Big Fat Panda. All right, well, now they've hooked in a Toaster. He's locked down. Here comes Skies Ascend. Big knockup, big damage. They do immediately burn down and kill off Marcotte, but they lose their Nexus turrets. And they might not even pick up all the kills. It was a slow end, but a dominating win. Dorado Gaming Gamma top Group C 3-0.
Yeah, that is the definition of bleeding out, right? They got stabbed 20 minutes ago and they just laid on the floor and lost all of their blood. I mean, they didn't do anything. And we gave reasons why they didn't do anything. You know, it's a difficult comp too, but at a certain point you just have to. They were unable to do so, recognized that the game was over, and they rolled over. So that game ended, and Dorado Gaming Gamma get themselves the 2-1.
And now they have themselves in prime position to get that bye away from the play-ins, go immediately to double elimination with that 3-0 topping. Obviously, their final match in the next 2 weeks will decide a lot. But as Gordo also pointed out during Champ Select, that's a lot of math, depending on how that game goes, that we're not going to touch until we get closer to those actual playoffs. Unfortunately, though, that does mean it's the end of the series here. The casters are bowing out, so for myself and Bonfire, it was a pleasure to actually get to cast a full series for all you guys at home, but it's time to hear from our analyst desk talk about the slowest, the most methodical, but arguably most dominating win of the series from Dorado Gaming Gamma.
Thank you, thank you. Whoa! What's going on behind me? I don't know what that
Oh,
is.
I
I'll
thought it
figure that
just
out
does
later.
that.
It's never done that before. I don't know how long it's been doing that, but
I don't know. I haven't been gang stalking your camera feed. We have been
oh,
gang stalking this game though. That is an awkward
I'm gonna turn that
transition,
off.
but
That's a seizure risk right there. But no, thank you very much. I had a bit prepared and I didn't even get to do it because of the sign.
oh,
Well, bonfire. You are correct that that was certainly a slow bleed out game. I just got jump scared by something.
I
A
did too.
Yeah, a slow bleed out game for sure. And you know what they call it when you're slowly bleeding out? Hemorrhage. As this was a big Darius game coming on
Yep.
through here for the side of Dorado Gaming Gamma. They have got the win. And even though Hazem got ganked early on in game number one, was able to come back and bring the team through for a big dub here at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect game if you only look at the objectives here. They gave up 4 kills, so that's not a perfect game. But this Darius for Hazim doing his job in the top lane, heavily snowballed, got 2 solo kills during the laning phase, and just made sure this Cassante for a toaster could never frontline because you're just so far behind. And we just saw the ripple effects of that. Like once we got into the later stages of the game, the poor fat pandas just could not leave their base whatsoever. They could not do anything proactive with this team comp because the person on your team that would be engaged and that would be your frontline just will die.
Yeah, absolutely. Here was a very, very tough look for them there after that point was just so difficult to actually be able to navigate your way through. They do end up coming up with a loss because of it. So, going to be on the lookout to see how much further this team can go. So we do
Mm.
have ourselves a couple of replays coming on in here before too long. Sign's freaking back on, man.
Oh, it
It
has a
won't
mind
listen.
of
It's
its
done.
own.
It's given up. I think my remote's dead. I'm gonna guess that's what's going on here. So we'll
Oh,
address
well.
that off scene, off stream.
Yeah. Oh well.
Oh
Just
well. Let's get
flickering
into
in
the replays.
excitement for the
Let's
dub
get into the
tonight.
replays. Hopefully, I haven't been distracting Caddy with this garbage for too long, and he'll be
It does look like you have been distracting
woo.
Caddy.
That's okay. It happens. He's a busy man. He's got a lot to do. As we're gonna be able to check out some replays here for too long. What are we gonna start with?
Allegedly.
Let's do the dive bot. Let's start things off here. We got about 7 minutes in. We got a bit of a dive bot coming on, and we'll be ready with that replay before too long. But a big, big dub
Oh,
nonetheless, and very
nope.
likely. We're looking at the post game stats again.
This is a replay of sorts. You
It
can see
is.
where the 7 minute dive bot happened by looking at the 7 minute mark. Oh, alrighty.
There we
So
go.
here's a solo kill in the top lane. Um, I believe this was the second solo kill. If we see the all outcome here, okay, no, this was the first solo kill onto Toaster. Here is the dive gonna come out bot. It will take a bit of time here. You see the setup here, and the dive itself does take a bit of time. There is the hop on in here. You're getting the solution low, and I mean, poor T just cannot do it. Tay cannot do anything there. And Karina able to just jump on in, finish off the law there, and it's an easy pickup there, and it just kind of shows how Dog were just kind of already taking control of the map there that early into the game here.
Definitely does. Yeah, and, I mean, that's what really starts it off, right? Is they're already so tremendously ahead at that point, super early into the game, and already started to turn things around, especially when you're up against the Lucian Nami like that. I mean, it's just such a good recipe for success. You get to start some of your snowballing champs snowballing. You get to stop some of their snowballing champs from snowballing. You're wasting the Ivern's time, like, he's there just watching you not be able to
Mhm.
get anything done. It really does doom the game in a lot of ways. And you can see that as we get into our second replay here, we can check out what's going on. We do see we're still around bot side. It's a little bit later on in. Going to be a big fight around the second dragon as Logilek starts it on up, has Daisy there for the backup to tank up the
Oh,
dragon, but TP is coming in, and the TP is bringing a big threat in the form of Hazim's Darius. He's going to be able to find plenty of resets in this fight. They do everything they can to slow him down, but Tay's in melee range. He's getting dunked. That's going to give you the
yep,
full passive stacks. Hemorrhage getting applied in full. A second dunk and more dunks to come. Log,
yep.
yeah, Logilek's got to get himself out of the way there immediately. Does manage to avoid getting the full hemorrhage stacks, but
Oh, the
Azim willing to
yoink.
take the fight anyway. Nice snag there. Forces out the flash and just walks a little bit too close. My man's got hands. He's got long range hands that can get you with that dunk from anywhere on the map.
Yeah, you didn't have to walk back into that one, buddy. You were about as outy as you could get there in that situation, and I mean, the game was already snowballing a little bit by this point, but this was when Dorado Gaming Gamma was able to really get the snowball going and set it into motion. It was their second dragon. It was that clean 3 for 0. You see Hazim's Darius just kind of killing everyone there, and no one can really stand up to it. We'll see in the last replay here, the final fight of the game. This is kind of how you would expect it to go when there's a 15k goal difference. I distinctly remember Slayer yelling, "Where's the engage? Where's the engage?" But they kind of don't have to here. You have the double supers that will be coming in eventually, and yeah, you kind of know how this one ends. Even with the big one on that guy's descent here, Gordo, like it's just too little, too late. You haven't got enough scaling here on this Ace Soul, and yeah, Nexus just drops.
Nexus just drops. And yeah, I mean, it's Toaster that kind of starts the engage there, but it's too little, it's too late. You're too far behind. Baron buff's coming in
Mhm.
from three different lanes. You're in the full on 5. It's just too hard to play. Tay gets chunked out before that play even really starts out as well. I mean, just not able to play the game. And means that it's all over. I mean, Dorado Gaming with their cleanest game of the night, definitely feeling good with the 2 wins there. And I'm going to be honest, Goverino, I think we all could have been right with the 2-0 prediction had a certain DC not occurred. So I'm going to walk
Maybe.
away feeling confident, even though it is Caddy who comes away with the win on the night.
Alrighty. Caddy with the secret sauce. Caddy is also a Risen admin, so he does have better access to the
So
script
he's cheating,
documents.
is what
Yeah.
you're saying. Yeah.
This does have some knock-on effects though, since Big Fat Panda does face Crab next week. I
Yeah.
don't
Crab's
know if we
Radiant.
have the results for Crab's game just yet.
No.
But if Crab wins their series tonight, that is going to have some ramifications for next week.
Could could certainly make things a lot more dangerous and could throw this group into a little bit of competitiveness, a little bit of a whirlwind
Mhm.
for what exactly the results are going to be. But Dorado Gaming Gamma can definitely walk away feeling confident in themselves after the night, starting off 3-0, looking good coming into those playoffs. That's going to do it for the Risen Mythical League on the night. We will be back next week with our final week of the regular season, and then it is playoffs all the way, baby. So come in, stay tuned, find out who is going to be able to compete in that play-in stage, who is going to be getting the bye to the next round. I'm sure there'll be some good game in one of these groups to check out to be able to tell that story. And stay tuned to the Risen channel throughout the rest of the week as other Risen leagues will be streaming and will be featured. As I said, that's going to do it for the night. So for myself, from Gofarino, from Caddy and production, from Slayer and Bonfire on the cast, thank you for hanging out with us tonight, and we'll see you next time.